by T-REV, so we'll call him that as well. And he joins us now.
People get killed for other stupid choices. Standing up for the families that took a loss. This something that we find important. Rep clean, strong, chest up. Little homie, keep your head up. You can be whatever you want. Get rid of the fake and it will lead up. All my life I strive for greatness. I manifest in my time with patience. People try to copy us, but respect is earned. It's not an obligation. I love the fam and they love me back, and that's why I always have the backs. I give a voice to those people who were never given a chance for them slimy cats. When you come here, you ain't a number to me. I really take time to read what I see. Don't forget to lock your doors, cause there's danger all up in these streets. Y'all really put life into the air that I breathe. I really am thankful for all of my peeps.
Yo, what is going on? Good morning, good morning, good morning. What is it? 10 a.m., 11 a.m. East Coast, and 8 a.m. Cali time? What is going on? No, good morning, good morning. Let's check into something. There's a few things that we missed out on. You have the prison escapes. Let's check that real quick. I don't know why that's on my screen or looking just like that at all, but let's peep this real quick because I missed this and I want to see the update. There was a conference on it. What's going on, Bella? Welcome. Shout out to Bella. Haley, what's going on? Linda, good morning. Good morning to you too. Pass the popcorn, please. Vardis in the building. What's going on, Vardis? Kimberly. Let's jump into this update though. Some of y'all may have seen it. I didn't see this, but this is on the 4. What is it? This is on the 4 prison escapees. I want to watch this real quick before we dive into this. The topics on the Idaho 4, which I got many. What's going on? Good morning.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Let me speed him up too. I'm gonna speed him up real quick.
Everybody ready? 2-year-old Joey Fournier.
Okay, let me go back because I messed that up.
Inmates that are out at large at this time. Those inmates are 52-year-old Joey Fournier, white male, gray hair, blue eyes, 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighs 140 pounds. He's being held in the Bibb County Jail for murder. Second inmate is 24-year-old Mark Kerry Anderson, black male with dreads, 5 feet 9 inches tall. He weighs 165 pounds. He was being held for aggravated assault.
Yes.
Third inmate is 37-year-old Jennifer Darnell Barnwell. Jennifer Barnwell, black male, 5 feet 9, weighing about 190 pounds. He was being held for the U.S. Marshals for drug charges.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth inmate is 29-year-old Chavis DeMario Stokes.
Good morning to you
black
too.
Male, black hair, 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing 160 pounds. He was being held for possession of a firearm by a felon, as well as drug trafficking. We're right now investigating this, trying to piece together what all happened to cause this escape to take place last night. We do know that around 6 o'clock this morning that a break in the fence was found in the perimeter of the LAC jail facility. At that time, they started going backwards to figure out what happened.
So you said a break in the fence, right? Which brings me to, I want to show you that break in the fence and what they did there. Most of you seen it. Some of you may not, but update.
Where you go to the right.
So right here, as
well,
you
what I
see,
I saw the 2 holes. We're going to talk about this
right here. Look,
why.
So where he's standing at is where exactly, that went down. That's pretty insane. Who's out in there? They're from around there. No, I'm not sure. More than all, where did they escape from? They escaped from Georgia. It was Bibb County, Georgia.
Happened, how it happened, and what is going on.
Now it looks like they might have did it like 2 straight. I don't know if this on the other side was patched up too, but I know that they cut a hole in the fence.
With this case, I am live.
Jennifer Mendez
outside.
Speaking on that, Jennifer Mendez, we haven't heard anything back since the remains were found. So I've been keeping a close eye on Jennifer Mendez, and there was remains found in the area, but we do not know 100% if they were her remains. They are very silent on that case right now. It's been 5 days of almost complete silence.
Parking lot. I'm in a parking lot.
I'm so addicted.
At the Bibb County, they call it detention center, Bibb County Jail. So
Bibb County.
Come on in. 2 holes cut in the fence right here. Bing, bang.
Bing bong.
2 holes, and they filled up
Bing
the
bong.
holes here. Empty parking lot here. Apparently the vehicle, the blue
Macon,
Charger.
Georgia. Yeah, that's what I thought I seen Macon.
was seen here. I'm going to spin the camera
morning,
around, and
Mr.
we're
Gus.
going to talk. We're going to walk around. We're going to talk about this case. We're going to talk about this case because we have.
I mean, you got to remember there was a vehicle that picked up these 4 dudes. So this was definitely orchestrated. It was set up.
4 inmates that are still out on the loose.
Now that flashes back to what I was watching. Now this right here was the press conference.
They started viewing video footage and discovered that right around 3:30
Prison break vibes.
this morning, these inmates were able to leave out from a day room window on a second floor day room area of the jail. They were able to get out, go through that window, and run out through a break in the fence. There was some video footage of a vehicle that had been there earlier in the evening that looked like they had been tampering with the fence.
Oh wow!
As well as bringing some items into the.
So he said, "Hold up, we need to run that back." He said that they were there tampering with the fence, possibly.
That had discovered that right around 3:30 this morning, these inmates were able to leave out from a day room window on a second floor day room area of the jail.
That's okay.
To get out, go through that window, and run out through a break in the fence. There was some video footage of a vehicle that had been there earlier in the evening that looked like they had been tampering with the fence, as well as
What's going on,
bringing
Doozy?
some items into the enclosed area.
I was gonna go live last night. I ended up falling asleep at like 7 p.m. I was gonna have a night live and everything. I'd have passed out early. But yeah, blue Charger. Yep, Vardis, you got it right. A blue Charger. So it seems like they had help. Who is Jennifer? Again, Jennifer Mendez. She's a missing teacher, and they found remains, but we're waiting to hear something back. Now, if you look up Jennifer Mendez, the last thing that really came out on her was 3 to 5 days ago. So,
area of the fence that we believe were used by these inmates to.
Dana said, "Good, get your rest."
That is why we have a lookout now for this blue Dodge Challenger. We have that vehicle. We really have very good reason to believe that vehicle is involved.
Good morning.
In this situation. One thing I want to make clear: whenever we put this out earlier, we let everybody know. I think we got word out to the school system just as a protocol to let them know that we had an escape, but there's been no.
This is very dangerous. One of these dudes are going up for murder. They're facing murder charges. Has nothing to lose whatsoever. I don't know. I think this is a violent situation, especially with the way that it's orchestrated. People could definitely get hurt. A vehicle was there to pick them up. This is very dangerous.
Indication whatsoever that any school or that any of these inmates
Right.
or any of these escapees have been anywhere around any of our schools in our area. Right now, we are following up on some leads as to where these individuals may be.
Yeah,
I
see
going
that.
forward. We have our partners in the FBI, ATF, state partners. This is an all hands on deck situation when something like this happens. So we certainly want people to call in. We have Crime Stoppers, 1-877-68-CRIME. There's been $1,000 reward offered for information that will lead to the recapture of these individuals. We have also set up 2 hotlines here at the Sheriff's Office, and we'll be sending that out for more, but those 2 numbers are 478-310-4485, and the other number is 478-310-4052. Those 2 numbers, as well as certainly Crime Stoppers numbers, will be staffed.
Very good question. I don't know, Olivia. I feel like if they did get the tag number right, wouldn't they have a picture up on the news like we're looking for this person who owns this vehicle? I feel like they would have that, but I'm not sure.
24/7, for anybody that has any type of tips or any kind of information leading to the recapture of each of these individuals. So, anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. That's what we're
What's going on,
looking at.
Shelly?
We
Julie?
have some of our situations where they can get into the day room. Sometimes the day rooms are not locked. Typically, when they are supposed to be in bed, sometimes the day rooms are not locked. Some of the doors are where they're not able to be locked, and then sometimes they're not. Typically, that's not an issue because the inmates are supposed to be at another part of the jail. But these inmates were able to get into the day room and
This is crazy.
work to open up this window. So all of that's being looked at. Wait, Grant.
Yeah, but they grab people from Mexico a lot, though, don't they?
Well, they could be anywhere. Any tip, these individuals could be anywhere. We don't know if they're all together at this point. We don't have any reason to believe that.
Nah, they
had
would
any
split
type
off.
of association with each other out on the street, but they certainly had some type of association with each other in the jail. So to take them to the point to where that they all wanted to escape together, but whether they're how long they stayed together or even if they're together at this point, we don't know. Well, we were looking at it. We had to backtrack to figure out when it was that this escape happened. If we had an escape, when it happened, as soon as we knew internally that there was, our investigators were immediately notified. Our SRT team, the jail, and the sheriff's office leadership was notified, and so we were already following leads even at that early hour.
I got you, Don.
And so it was to make sure that we had all the information to get out the right information. We had to do a census of the whole jail to make sure that we didn't have any others that were missing or any other places in the facility that might have been compromised. But make sure we know that.
Exactly. I feel like that vehicle has something to do with those bolt cutters. I don't know.
As soon as we knew that there had been an escape,
It's weird.
Internally, there were investigators, there were deputies on the street looking for them as soon as we knew. We're looking into all of that. Right now, our main goal is to get these 4 individuals recaptured, and any help that the public can give us in that regard will do. We will look at what needs to be done in the jail setting or staffing and that sort of thing going forward. We already started making some staff changes. In fact, the major of the jail, this was his first day being assigned in the correction, so he sort of got a good wake up call this morning. So, but we have good staff in there. We may make some more changes going forward, but right now my focus is getting these individuals back in the jail, and we'll dissect what happened and fix that as we go forward. Grant, I think you had a question. Not as many as we would like. There was less than 10 people working in the jail.
Wow. What?
A little over 800.
Did I hear that right?
That's been an issue for us. Staffing, the conditions of the jail.
Did I hear that right? Only 10 people were working in that jail. They friggin' just knew it. Right? They just knew it.
We have a 43-year-old jail, and this happened in the oldest part of the jail, the oldest rundown part of the jail. And so I've been talking about, we need a new jail. We need a new jail. We have a jail that is falling down on us, that is breaking down. I think there's some elements of all of that.
Jingle, this is the one that I missed.
Situation here. So not blaming anything. We're going to go back and figure out what were the causations of this and rectify those things. But
well, understaffed for one, 10 people were working during the escape. I mean, that's not many people in a prison where you or in a jail. I'm sorry, not even a prison, a jail that has people that committed murder in it. I mean, that's just a little, I don't know. That's way understaffed.
There's never just one.
That's crazy.
Something like this.
What's going on, Eastern Girl?
Staffing is one of them. But there are things that could have been done differently as we look into this. There are things that might have alerted deputies as to what was going on, that they could have checked into it. But that's all being looked into. We have an internal affairs investigation going into that right now. But right now, I want to catch these guys. We want to catch these guys. That is the most important thing right now, is to get these 4 individuals back into Bibb County Jail.
Did Bundy escape?
It varies. It really does. It depends on how many people.
Nah, you're good, Eastern.
On shift. It depends on how many people. You have people who call in. We have part-times.
Oh my God!
As many part-times working one shift as we do another. It's always a management thing. It's always trying to get enough people on staff. And you can start off thinking you have 15 or 20 people working. Somebody
Is
calls
it
in
usually
sick.
like this?
Somebody
Huh?
has to leave. Something happens. So we're going to look at all of the factors that went into the staffing decisions and the staffing levels last night to see what role that played into it.
Is that 15 to 20?
More than once, Bundy, huh?
What is the ideal staffing for the next shift?
Well, for any shift in the jail, about 30 people. We've not been able to have 30 people in the jail working on any shift in a long time.
What?
We're able to do it with less than that. We're able to do it with as few as 6 or 8 people. But when you want an optimum staffing level to have every position covered, it takes about 30 people to do that in the jail.
This is
So,
crazy.
that's some of the things we're working on. We get people hired. We have the part-timers coming in and work towards that. But we're going to drill down and figure out what happened last night on staffing levels, any type of notice that might have been given or any kind of information that might have been intel into the jail and that sort of thing. But that, as I said, that's a standalone investigation. We're looking into that right now. The most important thing is to get these individuals back into custody.
This is crazy.
I don't think so. It's another one that was in that same general area, but it's not the same one, I don't think.
You mentioned they were out there the previous night and that they adopted it somehow and maybe not full to it. What time exactly was that? Were they supposed to be out there?
Well, no, now that was somebody at the fence tampering with that. We're still looking at the video footage. To
Oh,
see
wow.
Exactly
Alicia?
what transpired at that time. But we're looking at that to think that they might have been some tampering of the fence. There was some it looked like some items that were brought in.
What's going on, Miss Harmony?
And then brought over to the closer to the facility where that somebody could bring them into the jail and then use those items maybe to help hasten their escape.
Arlene.
We're looking into all of that right now, but that's where that blue car comes in, and we have that on the video, and we've sent that picture of that vehicle out in lookouts, and anybody in the public that might know something about that would be very helpful to us. Not sure. I'm not going to rule anything out right now. That other time might have been a test in the system to see what might happen. But we had done some things to remedy that hole in the fence and where they had gotten into the jail facility and at that time. But we don't know. Anything's on the table right now.
And where they escaped from this time, how close is that to the other game? If that wasn't clear.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't very far, but right on it. But we were pretty close.
I got worried.
Right.
Yeah, I had to turn it up. I just boosted it.
They
Boosted
in
it.
jail right now.
On that same vein, are the flock cameras in operation yet? I know we talked about that before.
No, the flock cameras here in Bibb County are not up and running yet, but there are flock cameras in every county
What's going on,
around
DD?
here, and we are accessing that database. We do have cameras here in Macon that we are using, that we're looking at to see if we can, and some of those cameras have been able to show us a little bit of information that's been useful to us. So we're trying to compile all of that data and get all of that, all of those images, and we're hoping that anybody that might have seen something real early this morning, because there's not that many cars out. This blue Dodge Challenger is sort of a unique looking vehicle. If you've seen the picture, it's kind of a sky blue vehicle. So if anybody's seen that, we certainly would like to talk to them.
Is there anything that people should do tonight? Lock their doors, check their sheds. How can people stay safe?
Well, be prudent, obviously. If you see something suspicious or hear of anything suspicious, certainly look. If you hear somebody rumbling around in your shed or in your garage,
Right.
it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to call, have some deputy come and check it. But
That's a good point, Julie. I would have not put that to the public. Inmates will have a hostile takeover. That's
typically in these types of
Good point.
situations, they've already planned out getting out, and they probably have somebody on the outside that has been waiting for them, so they may or may not even be in this area. There's nothing to indicate to us that they're still on foot anywhere near the jail. I mean, we've had escapes in the past where we catch them within a block or two of the facility, but in this particular case, we've not had any indication of that. We've canvassed the area all around the LEC and have not found anything.
Damn.
Use that car, like the car to escape.
We're not sure. We saw the car. We saw them run away. The car was in the parking lot and then it left. Then we see the inmates escape. So we don't know if they got into that car, maybe got into a different car or what have you. So I can't put them right back into that same car right now. But we would sure like to talk to the person driving that car.
Where's the perimeter?
Quick clarification. The time between 6 a.m. and then 11:25.
Yeah, these are 4 Cavalcantes.
That time was that long because we were trying to figure out exactly who it was who's gone missing.
We had an idea who was
They don't
missing
have any.
fairly closely, but that's just jail protocol. When you have an escape, you canvass the jail. But all while that is going on, we have our SRT team, our investigators, all of those individuals out already looking because this each one of these are charged with some pretty serious crimes, and one of them, the Barnwell, just was sentenced to life in prison in the federal system. So he probably has some incentive to want to get out of jail. So we were familiar with all of these individuals and following leads, trying to figure out where they might be. So it wasn't like we were sitting on our thumbs. We were working within the sheriff's office and investigative and looking into jail, but we wanted to make sure that we had all of the information to give out in a, get the right information out. I'd hate to say, okay, at one time we thought only one had escaped. Then we did this,
4.
we censused the jail. And once we looked at the videos that we had, we realized we had 4. Then we had to make sure we verified which 4 it was, which ones we were. So we want to get all of those facts. But we were out on the street searching and following leads all during that time.
The deputies are working the jail. Do they do counts like they do in prison settings periodically?
They're supposed to count at every shift, but when this happened, it was between counts. Obviously, 3:30 in the night. They're supposed to be asleep. That's not when they should be doing block checks and that sort of thing. We're looking at when block checks were done, all of that. That's, as I say, that's all part of the internal investigation they're doing for the jail. This is sort of like if a water pipe bursts, first thing you want to do is to stop that water flowing. Well, we've got an inmate jail burst and we want to catch those inmates right now. That is our first priority. The jail, we have the jail on lockdown as much as we can with the facility as it is. And so we want to capture these inmates and get them back in the secure facility.
Crazy.
And then we'll deal with whatever other factors that contributed to this escape. But you have to remember there were four people who decided they did not want to be in jail, and they made effort and made things happen to where they were able to escape. And so we want to get them back in. And then the things that we need to fix on our end are the things that contributed to this thing, staffing, the jail facility, the building itself, all of those kinds of things will be looked at. So they're being looked at now, but right now I want to catch these folks.
So we talked about when the press release went out, but I want to take it back. What time did you guys tell the school system what was going on and when they went on lockdown?
What time was that? What time did y'all call the school system?
Yeah, for real.
I know that was. I know it, but somebody from it was about 9 or 10 o'clock that they were notified, and we did that as a protocol to let them know we've had escape, and then we didn't, certainly as being a partner in the community, let them know what's happening. There was not any kind of indication that any of these inmates would even be around the school at all, but just to let them know. And then they have their set of protocols that go into play, whether it be a modified lockdown or whatever they do. That's their protocols that they followed once they got this information. But let me be clear, there's no indication, even at the beginning or now, that any of these inmates were ever around any school.
We talked about the gap between it initially happening, you guys finding out at 6 a.m. and then the press release at 11. So you spent that time kind of gathering information, right? Obviously, right? So you notified the schools at 10. How much information did you have for them then? Was it the same amount?
It was pretty much the same. We had said we had 4 escapees, and that we kind of gave them a general description of what we were looking for, and that was as we were getting everything out to send to the media. And so it was all kind of working at the same time. The school system, we're gonna call them a little bit quicker and let them know, and then send out the press release. I mean, look, we want to let y'all know as fast as we. I mean, as soon as we found the hole in the gate, we should have called the meeting and said, "Hey, we found a hole in the gate." Then y'all gonna want to know, well, did somebody escape? Well, we don't know. Hold on, what happened? How many escaped? We don't know. So we had to get all of our information together so that we had a complete picture of what happened, so that so we let you know. And so I know that you know, we like to get it out, but while at the same time, our investigators were already on the street, our SRT team, and you never know, we might have caught a break, caught one or two of them, all of them in that interim time. But the indications are they have gone away. I don't know if they've gone from this area. A couple of them have contacts outside of the Middle Georgia area, so we're certainly following up on that. That's where we have the U.S. Marshals, you know, the Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force. We have the FBI. We have all types of different technologies and tools that we're using to follow up on this. And I feel comfortable that we'll be getting leads. We've been getting leads so far, and we'll continue to get them as we go forward.
What processes are in place to prevent this sort of stuff? Is there some sort of alert system or anything that can tell you when they open the gate or something?
Well, there's supposed to be that. That we're looking to see what happened last night. There should have been somebody that heard some tampering, and there's some indications that somebody might have, and we want to make sure that what was followed up on it. But you can guarantee that there will be a heightened vigilance on what goes on in the jail going forward. I mean, we always in that we know that there have been some things that we needed to shore up. You know, the jail's been in the news lately. The conditions in the jail, the neutral loaf, and that sort of thing. Maybe, you know, maybe they got tired of eating neutral loaf. I don't know, but that's part of what we're looking at in the jail to see what we need to do to fix that so this doesn't happen again.
Is it possible that the damage to the gate a few weeks ago?
They have security cameras.
No, not in that way. No. No, yep. Sure, yeah.
Sounds like they need to remake the whole employee list.
All right, let me give you those numbers one more time. You got certainly Crime Stoppers, 1-877-68-CRIME. We have
Morning, Natty.
Chairman of Macon Regional Crime Stoppers, Warren Selby here. Thank you for coming, Warren, kind of showing support and doing that. But we have Macon Regional Crime Stoppers, 1-877-68-CRIME. Get $1,000 reward. Also, the other numbers are 478-310-4485.
Good morning.
And then 478-310-4502. 4502. And I know the FBI and some others are getting up some reward money. And if once we know how much that is and what that's going to be, we'll be sending out a release on that very soon. Plus, we'll be sending out another flyer to everyone that kind of has their pictures and has the information and that sort of thing. And it has these hotline numbers on it also.
Mike Jones. What's going on, Mike Jones?
I'm sorry. I would think that anybody who's escaped from the jail with some of these charges would be somebody that probably does not want to go back to jail.
Thank you, Dana.
And that
hope you feel
anybody
better.
that would want to try to stop them,
Good morning,
civilian or somebody that is not ready to fight, probably would just best to call.
Good morning.
These hotline numbers and let us deal with them because they are charged with some serious crimes. 3 out of the 4 have been in our jail several times before. So yeah, I would consider these individuals to be a little bit dangerous.
A little bit.
Yeah, sure.
One's charged with murder. That's something that we're looking into. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to stand up here and be so naive as to think that there's not cell phones in the jail, and the cell phones may have not played a role in this particular escape. There's not a jail in Georgia that doesn't have cell phones in it. There's not a prison in Georgia that doesn't have a cell phone in it. And so, to what level that type of communications played in this escape, we're gonna drill down into that. So yeah. Pull this bad boy up.
Yes, I would say more than 2 and less than 50. There's no way to know. I mean, ask a prison warden how many cell phones are in his facility or whatever. I mean, you don't know. Every week, our deputies are doing shakedowns and searches in the jail, and they're finding cell phones. If you remember, just 3 weeks ago, we arrested one of our part-timers for bringing in cell phones and other contraband items. So it's always a cat and mouse game.
Aries, thank you for the 7 months.
That sort of thing in a correctional facility.
Thank you, Aries. I appreciate you. 7 months.
I just want any help that the public can give us. Anybody that knows somebody.
He's like waiting.
Somebody that sees this tonight knows where these 4 people are, and somebody is probably laughing at the TV set, saying, "Oh, they'll never catch us."
The TV
They'll never
said,
catch us. We will get them. They will come back to jail. It's just a matter of when.
I'm looking over at Georgia right now on the flight radar.
Right?
Let's see. This chopper's
And we are.
My man said, ha, 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 ha. Boy was getting hyped. I don't know. That was the update, though. That was just the update on those prisoners that escaped. Seemed very set up to me. Real weird. My man said the TV set. You know, that's when you know my man's old school. The TV set. That's some shit that my grandpa would say. The TV set. I'm just saying. Well, waiting to see any updates on that. So we'll be waiting for any updates that come through on specifically that. I want to jump into this now.
My name is Stacy Chapin.
I seen this. I don't know if a lot of you seen this or not, but when I seen this, I caught it this morning. I didn't actually see the speech. I heard she was there, etc. But this one slipped past me. I didn't see this.
I'm Ethan's mom.
Thank you, Kimberly.
And I actually didn't sit through it because it's too hard to watch, but I do want all of you to know that these were 4 of the greatest kids and that all of the great things that you read about them is legitimately true. And I can speak on behalf of my own son,
It's true.
who was an incredible human. And we miss him all terribly. But it's a very strange situation to be. I'm not a true crime follower, but I am now thrust into the epicenter of something that has become pretty incredible. But anyways, don't forget these kids. I appreciate, I did watch the beginning where you spoke a little bit on behalf of all 4 kids, and they're amazing. They were amazing, amazing kids.
I was surprised to see that she went there, and I'm glad that she got out there. Maybe it's healthy for her, or it felt healthy to
So if
her
you're
to
able
go.
to tune in on Friday, you already know that I spent the weekend at
But I gotta see
CrimeCon in Orlando for News Nation. For those of you who don't know, CrimeCon
Thank you,
covers
Aries.
all things true crime, discussion panels, and some of the most famous cases.
With all this stuff going on, there's just so many rumors and things put out there. There's no telling what these families are going through at this time. I'm telling you, there's been so many rumors with Xana's a drug dealer and Maddie was on OnlyFans. There's a lot of dirt that's been kicked around just because I guess how big the case has been.
His meet and greets with folks in the
Must be hard
business.
for them
I
to get out
didn't
and get
really
in
know
front of
what
a
to
camera.
expect with the whole thing. I thought maybe it'd be a little weird, but it was actually pretty cool and serious. A lot of crime victims are there, a lot of attorneys and all sorts of different experts and panelists. It's no surprise. The Idaho student murders were a big topic of conversation. Stacy Chapin, Ethan Chapin's mom, she was there. I actually had the chance to sit down with her, ask her how she's holding up since the murder of her son last November.
People often ask me what it feels like to be in the middle of this. I actually have never watched true crime in my life. I mean, it's hard for me to understand why you'd want to, and yet now, weirdly, we're kind of at the epicenter of this, and our kids' story. It is interesting. Because you can't control some of the things that are said, and Ethan was genuinely like the greatest kid you could have ever met. I mean, and it's hard to read something and be like, well, you clearly, obviously you don't know him because you wouldn't say that about him. I mean, you know, if you knew him personally, you would only be like, wow, he literally was the greatest person. And so I don't know. It is interesting. I don't.
What's wrong? What's wrong with going to Crime Con? You think? I mean, I wonder. I don't. There's no telling how she got the invite. You know, somebody probably reached out to her and gave her an invite there. Excuse me. Who knows? But what do you mean? I see Crime Con though. Thank you. You know, thank you face. What do you mean by that? I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.
I don't know. It's a very profound kind of feeling to be that person. But at this point, all you can do is try to take that energy and turn it into something positive, make something great out of it.
And that's really exactly what Stacey has spent almost a year doing, taking the tragedy of the death of her son and working incredibly.
He said what? He said she's been funneling millions back to the U of I from tulip bulb sales, book sales. It's weird to me. Allegedly, Miss Potts says.
Hard to
I ain't
turn
heard
it
nothing
into
about
something
that.
positive. So far, the foundation started in
What's going on,
Ethan's
Julie?
memory has already funded 2 scholarships with the goal to do as many as needed, and she is determined. I also asked Stacey about Hunter and Macy. Those are Ethan's triplet brother and sister.
Jim and I have talked a number of times about what it feels like as parents to lose a child. I honestly cannot tell you what it must feel like because I'm not one to be a multiple and lose a piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
To lose a piece of that, to lose one of 3, or if you were, yeah. I can't. We've just had to put every support system in place and tell them you will go on and be fine, and we all have each other, and we will be the very best version of what this new family looks like. I don't want to say new family, different family looks like. It's a different dynamic now.
Thank you, Delana.
Yeah, and really the entire family, they're kind of like in a club they never asked to be in. I saw her right before that interview. We were sort of in the back of Crime Con, and she was talking to Joe Petito, Gabby Petito's dad. She said to me that she told him that she wishes she didn't have to know him this way, to be connected by terrible tragedies in their lives, but that she felt like some kind of comfort connecting with him since he had been in a similar situation, navigating all of this, and that she felt it was really powerful that they were able to connect.
That's the conversation that Joe and I literally just had. I wish I did not know you. I wish I did not know that, that we were.
I'm actually happy for her that she went out there because I don't know, she's stepping forward to healing, and she'll never heal. But yeah, I'm actually happy for her that she went. She made it a decision to go. Right? Anybody else feel the same? You happy for her to see her get out there and not be, let such a big tragedy like this just crash her in general? She's out there overcoming the depression and the feeling of hurt of losing a kid, your kid that's supposed to bury you. You're not supposed to bury him.
In this situation together, but we are. That's the conversation we just had. And you literally have to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
You have to say, okay, we can do something better for somebody else down the road and make the world a better place for people. You just have to.
Nice to see you too. Baby.
And just my last question, the children's book, I forgot to ask you about that.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about it. Yeah.
Oh gosh. One of my really good friends, very early on, again, going back probably to November.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation.
All right. I had to peep that because I didn't see that. I missed out on that report. We seen that. This
turned into this horrific crime scene. So what do the families want done
coming up
with
right
this
here, the part that I want to
at
talk
this
about.
point?
Well, they would like it to be preserved, Vinny, and we know we've reported that the university now owns.
1 second. Everyone deals with grief differently. I'm glad to see them find some support and connection within all of this horror. Autumn says, I agree, T-REV. Zoe says, me too, T-REV. Miss Harmony says it was good for her. She said, yeah, no, definitely. It was you could definitely tell. Absolutely. I did tear up for sure. I did too. Same. She's a rock star. Big props to her. I am very happy that Miss Chapin went to Crime Con. She needed it. She connected. She's going to be better for it. Good for her. Yeah, absolutely. I agree to you, Alina. She says, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a great start of your day. Well, thank you for coming by. We appreciate you. Shout out to you. I hope you have a great day and a start to your day. Julie says, grief is love that we don't know what to do with. So go out and spread the love. Delana says, no judgment from me for what any of these parents are doing. Moving forward, I can't imagine. Kimberly says, unfortunately, with all the drugs and murder, it's becoming all too common to have to bury our kids. Hence, why us mommies worry constantly. Toby says, yes, I've been hoping she is well since she's been so quiet. What is true, they are all so much stronger than I would be. I am not sure I would have to fight. They do not. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Like I said, I'm proud of her for getting out there. Really am. Same how I was proud of seeing Jeff and Jazzy on that last 48 hours episode. If you haven't seen it, it is very good. Make sure you go watch it. It is very good. I think it was good for her to go. Who knows, by the trial rolls around, she might go to that also, but still her choice. It is. Definitely is that.
That property, they have plans to
Paul?
demolish the home this summer. I checked back in with the spokesperson of the University of Idaho today. She confirmed that to me. I asked for a specific date. She says they don't have a specific date just yet for when it is to be demolished, but she said
that's what I wanted. All right, okay. So here we are. And I'm dead serious because we put out a petition to this a long time ago and it ended up getting pushed to October. Are they going to get rid of the house? Are they going to take the house down? Thank you, DC. Are they going to demolish the house? Are they going to push forward and demolish the house? And do you think that they should? Should they push forward and demolish the house? Hold on, let's go ahead and put a poll out. Let's go, dude. There we go. Demolish. Before trial. Yes. Okay, so let's put this here. After trial. I said, do you think that they will demolish the house or demolish 1122 King Road before trial? Yes, no, 50-50. Okay, here we go. I'll just put this up. It's like two are almost like the direct same, but
are working through the process. And this is what Steve told me about why they don't want anything to happen to the home.
I think they should wait.
We communicated with some other families. There's 3 families that are concerned with that. We're trying to make sure that that all the proper steps are done. There's audio, that from my understanding, and if there's audio, I don't understand how you could take a house down and not say that people are going to want to hear those sounds from the location of the recording from inside the house, dog barking, things like that. So we'll try to do everything.
We talked about that a lot here.
And something like that is just evidence. It's not for or against, it's just evidence. So that's why we're trying to protect it.
It's evidence to be preserved. That's his position, and it may behoove the state to keep it standing because if you're there in person, Vinny, it does make a difference to see how close this home is to the neighbor's camera that picked up the audio that she was referring to. But he also told me that at the last hearing, he spoke
I'm sorry, Nikita,
to the prosecutor, Bill Thompson.
Super sad to hear that you had to bury your son. You said, I absolutely do agree with her. I had to bury my son, and you do whatever you can to heal. God
The
bless you.
prosecutor
Sorry to
said
hear
that this
that.
is going to be a long road for the families. They may not have all the answers for 3 years, Vinny, so this house would have to be standing for a long time in the middle of this community.
It's fascinating that he wants the house preserved as evidence for the trial because there could be a jury view. We see it in many, many cases. In the Murdaugh case, they went back to the scene. It helped the jury to figure it out. It became great evidence for the prosecution in that case, even though prosecutors didn't want to necessarily go there. I am with them on that, by the way. I think in some states, there's like a view in almost every case, like Massachusetts, very common. So I'm with them there. They should preserve it because it is the scene. I understand the university from their perspective, but there's a criminal trial for a mass murderer, and doing everything you can to ensure a conviction should be the first priority.
What's going on, Jack?
Absolute first priority, because we know how things can go south inside a courtroom sometimes. I've seen it. Okay. Does he have any theory about the motive?
Yeah, he does, Vinny.
You're
I
welcome,
asked him,
Toby.
what's the connection? Because it's been rumored, Kaylee and or Maddie were the
Morning.
targets of this mass murder. He told me something I hadn't heard him or his family say before about why they think the alleged killer actually went to that home. And
I think it's important that it doesn't get demolished until after trial. Specifically, like Vinny said, they look at how it helped in the Murdaugh trial. I think it'd be a win for the defense.
And murdered them. And remember, Maddie and Kaylee were on the 3rd floor. They were in the same room in the bed together, likely the place this murderer started. And so here's what he had to say about it.
They're just two girls that were always happy, always filming. So I think maybe he just seen that happiness and there's something in him that was jealous of the fact that two people could love each other and be like the best friends. And I think that really rubbed him wrong and got him thinking about, well, why do they have this great life and I don't? And I think that's
what
whoever he picked, that'll be the backstory. Is just a jealousy of their lifestyle.
So he believes that allegedly this man was jealous of this lifestyle they were living. We know based on the affidavit, Vinny, that the alleged murderer visited this area of the crime scene 12 prior times before the murders actually took place. We know there's
we have questions. We need more transparency, total respect, but you must have names or suspicion if you think there's a slight possibility BK is innocent. There's so much different. There's so much different shit with that. I don't know. Like, for you, Devil Dog, I'd go watch that last episode, the 48 hours episode with Steve G. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. Go watch it and listen to what he says.
In the court files of a digital trail of all types of social media, online outlets that could be revealing. We don't know everything because of the gag order, of course, but also Steve tells me he's not sure if this is the first time that this murderer allegedly did kill, but hopefully he wants those answers as soon as possible.
Yeah, Kaylee and Maddie were living their best lives. They were, and Kaylee graduating early, getting ready for a job, all these other things. Amazing stuff. All right. Now, this is Idaho. Death penalty is the law in Idaho. Prosecutors can seek it. A jury can make a decision on it. Do they support the death penalty in this case?
Absolutely, they do. He told me that's why they moved to Idaho, because it has the maximum punishment like that, Vinny. And he says the person responsible for these murders should receive the highest level of punishment. And he says there is enough evidence in this case that it's over for this guy. Let's watch.
Damn. And it's
the death penalty, you support it, right?
We definitely do. Yep, that's part of the reason we moved to Idaho.
Thank you, Miss Harmony.
We want a community that protects the most vulnerable, and that's something that if a father can't protect them, then you hope that the society is willing to step up and do the right thing. So that's what we're looking for. The ultimate form of justice.
It's good. It's okay to have different opinions. Nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's gonna have the same exact opinion on the roommate angle or maybe just even the perp in general, but it's definitely good to look at everything, right? Even if there's some stuff that comes out, you're like, you turned a little, you turn to the left, you turn your eye to it, and it's like, nah, and then you peep it anyways, and you watch it, and you're like, but I don't know, you just got to watch everything with an open mind, and even if you give it a weird look, just definitely watch it. Definitely watch it. Keep an open mind because you never know. I've seen some weird shit happen. In this case, we thought, who was it? JD. We thought JD was the person the whole entire time throughout the whole entire journey that we were on here, taking phone calls, etc. Like, it was wild.
This is that.
And so, I still think he's Papa Rogers, 1,000%. I think that BK was Papa Rogers. I think BK is the guy, but there's a lot of different opinions out there. I hear talks about these underground tunnels and all different types of stuff. I don't know if that's just conspiracy shit, but if it's, show the proof, show the receipts. I'd love to see it.
So Steve said he wouldn't be surprised if this defendant tries to seek a plea for a lesser sentence, Vinny, but he believes that the person responsible will actually receive the max. I mean, all the evidence is there, and they want him to be sentenced to death.
Yeah, if you're looking at mass murder, you're looking at cruel murder, face-to-face, knife, pain involved, suffering involved in all of this. I've spoken to death investigators looking at the evidence that we have. Seems like there's a strong argument for it. We'll see what prosecutors decide in this case. Meanwhile, the defense, they don't want the world to see this trial, do they?
They don't. We had our hands on some brand new motions from the defense team asking this judge to limit media coverage and cameras inside the courtroom.
So where does all this talk within the case? Underground tunnels. People been hitting me. I swear I'm getting emails about underground tunnels in Idaho. Even I think last stream somebody even said, you got to check out the underground tunnels in Idaho. It's like, where? I'd love to check it out. Is there a virtual video that shows us, that gives us the tour? I mean, we'll full screen it.
They're saying that there's numerous social media posts that have people overanalyzing this man's body language according to the court filings, and they say that audio-visual coverage has just become an obsession almost of creating unfounded opinions in the media, and it's prejudicial and unfair to his right to a fair trial. And this was Steve Gonsalves's response to that.
If you're not a personable person and you give off weird vibes, yeah, you probably don't want nobody to actually see the truth, see who you are, and read you for how you behave. You can't hide the truth, man. I'm so tired of the secretive and all that stuff. I want this stuff to be out in the open. There's more than enough evidence for people to make a decision, and how can the truth contaminate anything?
And of course, we know Koberger, he's going to trial in October. Will we have cameras? Will we not? It may be brought up tomorrow in the hearings that we expect to cover.
That brings it back to the title of this video. Idaho 4, big court date. Jennifer found, ? 4 prisoners escape. Brings us back to the title of the video again. Big court date coming up in the Idaho 4 case. Big court date, October 26th. Big court date.
We're in the courtroom so far. We have cameras in there tomorrow, Vinny, about this gag order, and likely they'll bring up these other issues.
Coming up next hour.
Guilty.
And water on.
Have an opportunity to speak about their child and the nuances of what made them special. And then our ultimate goal is where people remember these kids and remember how bad this situation was, but it's them that they remember and not the person who did it. this person needs to disappear. When it's over and said with, they're not important. They're just a mistake that we let fall through our society's cracks, and we corrected that, and now we can, really kind of assess how much we lost when we lost these children.
And we're talking about Ethan,
Strong dude
Kaylee,
right there,
Madison, and Xana. Right?
The people that are asking those missing teacher assistant Jennifer Mendez, I butcher her last name. Olas Kagas. Loved, so it says missing teacher assistant Jennifer Mendez. Loved ones report creepy messages, never gonna see her again. Now, this was reported by the family. Let me read right here. A 24-year-old teacher assistant vanished last week after dropping a friend off. This is for people who keep asking about Jennifer. And police fear that foul play may be involved in her disappearance after loved ones reported receiving suspicious text messages taunting them that they're never going to see her again. Jennifer Mendez was last seen on surveillance cameras dropping off a friend in the Creekside Mobile Home Park in Seagoville around 8 p.m. the night of September 27th. The Dallas Independent School District teacher assistant's unexplained disappearance is abnormal, her family says. So it's abnormal. Her family just completely says she would never do anything like this. When we found out that she never made it home that Wednesday night, it was a hint like, hey, something's going on, her cousin Litzy Mendez told Fox 4 News. Now, she always makes it home. She was very punctual at work. She didn't show up the next day. She said, this is not okay. Something is going on. So it's showing like her vehicle was found. Also, family found her car. So actually, the family found her car. The family, again, her family found her car at the intersection 10 minutes from where she was last seen. Interesting. Why doesn't it let me click on anything on here? What's going on? It won't even let me click on nothing. Not a thing. Are we literally frozen? I was about to say, hold up. Okay, we're back. There we go. You can still hear me? We just want the truth. Are we still here? We still good? We still online? My whole entire screen froze, but I was looking at this vehicle over here. This is for people who keep asking about the Jennifer Mendez case. Pull this up for you guys. $10:57 a.m. Okay, yeah, we're good. I don't know. I froze, so I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if the internet went, if the computer was acting up. This happened the other day, T. You sure you have not been? Yeah, nah, I'm good. Yes, audio good. All right, bet. But yeah, that's wild. So we're still there. What we're waiting on in the Jennifer Mendez case is to see if the remains that they found are hers. Now it says the family found her white 2015 Buick LaCrosse on Thursday at an intersection about 10 minutes from the mobile park home. The car was not found along the route home or along the route home from where she dropped off her friend, her family said. Her family promptly filed a missing persons report with Dallas police before queuing in local police in Seagoville on Sunday. I think I'm saying that. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Seagoville is how I see it. Yeah, like Seagoville. Her brother-in-law, Marco Barroso, said nothing seemed abnormal about the car except that Olasaga's wallet was found inside. I think I'm saying that wrong, though. Olasaga's? I got to make sure I'm saying it right. Olasaga's. Olasaga's. I think that's how you say her last name. Olasaga's wallet was found inside. Things took a creepy turn. However, when Olasaga's family and friends began receiving forbidding text messages, we got some random text messages. A friend of hers got them. Hey, are you missing someone? You're never going to find her and you're never going to see her again, said Barroso. So that was reported. Police are investigating the text messages Mendez family has received since her disappearance. These text messages contained content that would lead one to believe that Jennifer's disappearance may involve foul play, police wrote in a release. The messages were sent before, during, and after Mendez was reported missing. I guarantee they're silent right now because they're in the height of a homicide investigation, and they probably have people in the box. That's just what I'm guessing. They're probably on someone's ass, but that's the most recent update in the Jennifer case. Rough name, definitely. Olaskaga. I think that's how you say it, though. Olaskagas, because it has an S at the end. But again, hoping that she's okay, but those text messages are very eerie. Very, very eerie. And to not know if those remains are hers or not, and it's been days since they've said anything. I mean, there's been a couple articles that have been updated, but police or anybody spoke out. It's been about 5 or 6 days since then, really. There's no updates on those remains whatsoever. Nothing just adds up for me. Yeah, it's absolutely weird. And we were watching some of those videos and the surveillance of her, etc. last stream.
This is what this story, this case, and this trial will be about. What happened to these 4 young people?
You said at first I thought she was pulling a Carly Russell. Now this is just weird. I think it's foul play, Hollis. What do you think? Seriously, foul play? I think foul play is definitely involved, and I think they're in the midst of I think they're in a heated homicide investigation right now. Allegedly. I don't know that to be a fact or not, but I think they're in the midst of some type of homicide investigation, or, one, if those remains came back and they got that information fast, they're definitely on something. They're going for people. If it is her remains, let's pray it's not her remains and that she's just being held captive and they're able to get her back safely, right? But I don't know. She was chilling at the convenience store. Yes, sketchy. Where this take place? What was it in state is it? I have to look back at it.
Chanley Painter is still with us.
I want to say it's
Idaho
Texas
tonight. She spent
Jennifer
some time,
Mendez is in Texas,
a lot of
I believe.
time actually with Kaylee's father, and he did something special today to honor his daughter on her birthday.
He sure did. Today, like I told you earlier, is Kaylee Jade Day here in the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. And Steve allowed me to exclusively ride along with him as he kicked off the day to pay it forward. He delivered cash to several local coffee stands, places where Kaylee and Maddie worked growing up and living here in the area, so that they could give free coffees to local customers who stopped by and inspire them to also pay it forward in Kaylee's honor for the day. He said this community has given so much to him and his family that he wanted to pay them back. Let's watch.
Plan today is we are going to go to a couple different locations. We're doing this Pay It Forward campaign, and we're actually driving her car. I'll never see this car as mine.
So, for instance, like, hold up, let me grab this real quick so you can see it real fast. No, we don't want to see that. It was this one.
Jennifer is first priority, first and foremost, always. So I'm optimistic that hopefully she'll be found.
We're now getting
3
a
months,
closer
I think,
look
Chris?
at some of the last moments before a Texas teacher assistant vanished last month. The newly released surveillance video was recorded after ominous text messages were sent threatening that the woman would never be seen again.
What's the reason for the threats?
That's what I'm saying. So there was threats that she would never be seen again. And then her vehicle's found on the side of what did it say? Route 10 or whatever route it was.
And messages.
It's crazy.
And where did they come from also?
Detective Troy Looney says investigators are still hard at work in the weeks after Jennifer Mendez Olaskaga disappeared. The 24-year-old was last seen on September 27th in Seagoville, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Investigators say she was caught on gas station surveillance video after she dropped off a friend at a mobile home park. Mendez-Olascaga hasn't been seen or heard from since.
The original video or missing date was September 27th, as we know. But detectives would start with a timeline to identify the location, video surveillance, witnesses, any and all possible suspects potentially that were there. Also, this friend that was mentioned, there's no name, of course, I'm sure, to protect the identity or for whatever reason, but this friend that was dropped off. So that all adds into places and leads to start the investigation, like the interview with that party, family and friends, and just to build a timeline for Jennifer's whereabouts before, during, and after the disappearance. So a lot of things to consider and follow up on.
Detective Looney says a timeline leading up to Mendez-Olascaga's disappearance is crucial in this case. And weeks after her disappearance, time is of the essence.
Now, I'm trying to, like, for instance, usually it doesn't, how many days does it take to identify to see if this DNA matches that DNA? Because I'm saying if we want to, it's been what, 5 or 6 days, right?
The time factor definitely plays a role, and time is always of the essence because depending upon the reason and factors involved, is this some kind of kidnapping or sex trafficking?
Now, a lot of people were asking about the Jennifer Mendez case, and yeah, we used to be talking about Kaylee. No, we were watching it was a court TV with with Steve G. It was just Steve G, I think Vinny and a few other people talking in there, but
hopefully not. But if that is the case, obviously, the sooner we can locate Jennifer, the better. Sooner we can get details and maybe some of the forensic data back to track and trace whereabouts and identify parties involved. It just helps in providing safety for her first and foremost, and identifying what took place.
Oh, wow.
All the questions of when.
So whoa. Yeah, but what if the body is burnt? T, I hate to say it.
How, where, why, and what was going on. So of course, her safety first. Finding her alive is monumental. I mean, that's a huge part of everything, obviously. So time is always of the essence in every case, but especially missing persons.
What we know right now is that Mendez-Olascaga dropped off a friend at the Creekside Mobile Home Park on Wednesday, September 27th. After that, she stopped at a Quick Trip gas station at about 8:30 p.m. The security video of that stop was released just this week. Looney says the recording could hold vital information in the missing persons search.
Well, we see Jennifer inside the store shopping, traveling back and forth to the gas pumps and putting gas in the car. There are also several other potential persons of interest and or witnesses that were present. There's a gentleman inside the store in a blue shirt. He walks out to a vehicle, I believe it's a white vehicle. Several other vehicles pulled in and out of the location.
You said just coming in, I'm lost. All right, so what you're looking at, what I was just talking about, I read an article on Jennifer Mendez, and now I was actually showing some video, one of the long crime videos on Jennifer Mendez, so people can get caught up with it.
And there was a
because I'm waiting to see if these remains come back to be Jennifer Mendez's remains, because they could honestly be in a homicide investigation right now. We not even really know that they're going for these people that she last contacted, or maybe, maybe they could see one of these plates
as well. I'm not just kind of hard to determine the color based upon the surveillance video because it differentiates with the shade or time of day and nighttime. I believe this was the evening hours, so it's hard to tell the exact color of a vehicle, but potentially license plates. Identifying and locating those parties that were present, interviewing them, and maybe even tracking their devices or communications potentially they could have had with her.
Video shows Mendez-Olascaga's vehicle pull into the gas station at 8:34 p.m. She parks at a gas pump before walking to the store. Once inside, Mendez-Olascaga can be seen in the back of the store, seemingly filling up a fountain drink. She then gets a lid and straw for the drink before walking back outside. Next, she heads to the passenger side of her car and can be seen filling it up with gas. By 8:44 p.m., just 10 minutes after she arrived, Mendez Olascaga is back inside her car. She pulls away from the pump 1 minute later, and by 8:47 p.m., she's left the gas station altogether. Detective Looney says investigators with extensive training will be the ones to comb through this video.
Training is a huge factor, and it actually is very helpful with the experience also. We all look for different clues, of course, just as a journalist, you may see something that we may not see, and vice versa. So it's a collective effort, right? So what I noticed from the video were the parties that were there. I would also backtrack not just to the time that she entered, but earlier through that entire day, even during and after, what was taking place. You know, was the clerk interviewed or parties in the store? Is there someone there that we did not potentially see? Maybe someone could have been in the restroom or an adjacent business close to or across from that location. So potential other surveillance cameras, traffic cameras, and so forth. And again, systems involved with the investigation that the police may not readily disclose, but that's, again, for the integrity. So there could be some tracking capabilities as far as, again, devices, geo-tracking of the tower information. Is there a Wi-Fi router at that convenience store where they could maybe tap into the IP addresses and MAC addresses that have pinged to the Wi-Fi router? So a lot of things to consider. Of course, there's always, you have more than one set of eyes on the video to get different determinations or angles.
Since leaving the gas station, Mendez Olascaga has not been seen or heard from. Her family found her abandoned vehicle the following day with her wallet inside.
The wallet being left, is that intentionally or?
Sounds intentionally to me. Wallet being left. Now, if it was somebody that was just going and grabbing her and trying to rob her and take everything that she had, what was in the wallet?
It doesn't appear to be a robbery, or maybe have been a robbery, but that could have been done intentionally. So it just depends on the reasons that can be identified. Also, was there any other DNA? Was the car fully processed? Again, that's another investigative element and process that takes place. That's not really disclosed, but that's just a part of the process itself.
Detective Looney says investigators may have recovered important information from the abandoned vehicle.
So
I knew Paige was St. John's because I seen her on the list, on the mod list, or yesterday.
Several things to consider. Obviously, the condition of the vehicle. I believe there was a mention of a wallet that was found, and maybe some other items. Now, of course, everything's not disclosed readily because it's about the case integrity, of course. But the vehicle, other factors such as, is there satellite-based tracking, GPS, monitoring? Are there devices inside the vehicle? Tire tracks maybe to and from the vehicle or other vehicles potentially involved. What kind of location where the vehicle's found? Like, I believe there's like a wooded area nearby, 5 miles from where she was last seen on video. So all those things factor in.
So where were the remains found? What up, Jennifer Mendez remains? Trying to see the location of where this is at. Does it even show? It doesn't even show.
Of course, potential DNA evidence, processing of the vehicle, and so forth. So everything factors in.
It doesn't show on the map or the. If anybody can find it, I sure can't. On my first look, anyways. I'm trying to look exactly where they found the missing remains at, compared to where the vehicle was, and compared to where she was last seen at that gas station.
To what happened and how she could be tracked or found.
One of the last people to speak with Mendez Olascaga was the friend she dropped off. So far, that friend's name has not been released publicly. But that same friend came forward to Mendez Olascaga's family after she disappeared, reporting ominous texts they'd received. The messages allegedly read in part, quote, "You'll never find her, and you know you'll never see her again. And she's gone. Jennifer Mendez, and you're next.
It sounds like they're giving some kind of warning or also threats as well to that friend. So what potentially was going on? What's the reason for the threats and messages? And where did they come from also? So the source of those messages, be it cell phone, Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there's definitely an investigation going on that, Donna. You know that right now. Right now, wherever those text messages came from, they done tracked that shit down, and they're on whoever that came from, if they even could track it. Guarantee it. They done followed every last lead on those messages.
A laptop, whatever device was used to transmit that. The tracking and tracing or identifying of those devices or IP addresses and all the forensic data will be very monumental and very significant to develop, maybe an identity of who's responsible, where they came from. Also, talking with a friend, the interview.
So Sen K says, I read the remains were found 3.5 miles from where her car was found. Interesting.
With a friend will be crucial because there's obviously some reason potentially for the text, or maybe something else that could have happened, previous incidents, previous conflicts. What kind of conflict was taking place, or what was going on in their lives to create this situation or the reason for this happening?
Texas officials confirmed Mendez Olascaga is a teacher assistant in the Dallas Independent School District. Detective Looney says fellow teachers and even students could be interviewed about her disappearance.
What you should do in an investigation is look at the lifestyle, the place of work, family, friends, neighbors, relatives, of course, place last seen, but definitely the mobile home park and the school, because there could have been other incidents or prior incidents. Again, we're trying to determine what happened and why and who's responsible. So, of course, that would be part of the investigative process to interview students, colleagues, again, family, friends, to determine, are there other reports? Were there other incidents?
So we're saying this off of here. Hold on, let me pop this like that. You said off 80? I see Mesquite right there. That's a very good, I don't know. They found remains, and here's 80 right here. And that leads into Mesquite. Or right by it anyways. You're pretty much to the left of it. If you're coming down, going towards 30.
That took place prior to this. What is the history like and timeline of her lifestyle and her friend's lifestyle that would maybe create the situation? So again, the interview with a friend is crucial. And where were they prior to being
I'm not sure about her age. What was 38? Where am I tripping?
Dropped off? Where they're coming from?
Not sure about her
they
age.
potentially
100%.
Did they agree to meet someone, or was Jennifer going to meet someone after dropping that friend off? So a lot of things still under investigation, obviously.
With many question marks left in the case, Detective Looney says investigators likely know more than they're letting on.
There's always more evidence potentially that could be present. And when you're engaging the acquisition.
I was way wrong. I'm sorry. 38. I said 38. She's 24. So Jennifer Mendez Olascaga, 24, was last seen at the Quick Trip gas station on Highway 175 and Beltline Road in Dallas on September 27th. Security video shows her buying food and a drink, filling up with gas, and then driving off. That was shortly after she dropped a friend off at a mobile home park in Seagoville.
Acquisition of forensics and the collection of data. Some things are very time sensitive and time consuming as far as sending out search authority, search warrant subpoenas for tower records, for search warrants for video surveillance, also the collection and acquisition. It's an entire, again, team effort by all parties involved, but there's always more evidence that could potentially be discovered. And
yeah, September 27th. So again, September 27th, it says. And that would be September 27th. It would be that night at around 8 o'clock. So everything happened at 8 o'clock.
Or that has been revealed, even statements to allow for other examinations of multiple scenes. I understand there's several different locations that have been explored. Of course, the mobile home park and the gas station. I'm sure her residence, and if they've located all parties that were present there, their devices as well should be examined.
One reason officials may be keeping details close.
Everybody that was in contact with her devices should be checked. And not only that, anyone at that gas station. But the only problem is, did she stop somewhere where there wasn't a camera? Or was there some type of situation where, I don't know. This is hard. It's hard to really map that out in your head, because she was last seen at that gas station. What happened after that gas station? Where did you go? What happened? Did you meet anybody? Did you text anyone? Investigators are on that.
Close to the vest is that a possible suspect could be watching news coverage of the case.
Also, what we have to consider always, if she has been held or taken somewhere, those potential parties are also viewing the media and the content, so they want to have an update as to how close are we getting or what's going on with the investigation, as much as can be disclosed, at least.
Though weeks removed from Mendez Olascaga's initial disappearance, Detective Looney still has hope for a positive ending to her case.
I'm always optimistic. I always look for, everything being relevant, and obviously with the investigative efforts, we don't know the full scope of what they've uncovered or what they have to still yet determine. So again, that interview with a friend is crucial. There could have been some other potential incidents or threats that were made prior to this that would lead to individuals responsible. And of course, Jennifer is first priority, first and foremost, always. So I'm optimistic that hopefully she'll be found. Maybe she'll talk about reasons or maybe what happened.
As for those threatening,
but if they weren't her remains, why is it taking so long to get that out, to at least say, hey, this isn't her remains, right? You got family there. You could match up DNA, right? Let me look at this here again. The last that came out was human remains found in the area where a missing death. So it was in the area where her missing car was found. It says right here. I found the actual article. I'm taking a glance at the article real quick. Let's see what it says. Jennifer Mendez, 24, was last seen at the Quick Trip gas station on Highway 175 and Beltline Road in Dallas on September 27th. Unidentified man. Okay, that's a whole different homicide. It says security video shows her buying food and a drink, filling up with gas, and then driving off. That was shortly after she dropped a friend off at a mobile home park in Seagoville. Family members said she never made it back home. When we found out that she never made it home that Wednesday night, it was a hint like, hey, something's going on. She always makes it home. She was very punctual at work. We read something very similar to what this is, actually, not too long ago. But to pull this over to show, this was the vehicle right here. This is her car. Let me put y'all full screen for 1 second. Yeah, I read this exact same one before, but or not the exact same one, but it was on a different website. Same wording though. Jennifer Mendez, white 2015 Buick LaCrosse was found in Mesquite near the intersection of Milam and Lawson Road. Currently, it is unknown if human remains are related to the Seagoville missing person case Jennifer Mendez. So we're still waiting for that verification to come through to see if it is her remains. Hopefully not, but it's in the area. It would kind of make sense. She goes missing in that area. Then all of a sudden there's remains found, and then y'all are silent on the other end. Like I said, it's been 5 or 6 days.
text messages Mendez Olascaga's friend is said to have received, local TV stations report the messages have not stopped. As the investigation into her disappearance continues.
T-REV, did you see the net? Yeah, I was in JLR's live, actually. I was actually over there for a little bit before I came live. But I didn't know that there was finally justice, no. Somebody came in here and said something, though. When were the remains found? About 6 days ago. I want to say about what was it, on the 12th or the 13th, one of those days? Don, what's going on? Thanks to whoever gifted. Somebody did. She has been missing for 3 weeks as of 2 days ago. God bless. Be safe to your doctor's appointment. DNA can take a few weeks. Yeah, but can't they can't expedite it that fast? Right? I don't know. Yes, Holloway is solved. He confessed.
Oh my God.
Now, Regina said, okay, I'm not, excuse me. Okay, I'm not familiar with this case. I had to cough. Okay, I'm not familiar with this case. I've been focused on my cousin Crystal's case. So did they ever locate Jennifer's car? Yeah, they found Jennifer's car. And it's not too far within the range where these remains were found, Regina. But the thing, Regina, this is pretty weird, is that it's been about 5 or 6 days and we haven't heard anything. Some people say it takes weeks, DNA back, blah, blah, blah. But I could have sworn I've seen them get shit done within 2-3 days, expedited, right? Or am I tripping? I'm absolutely losing my mind, and that's never happened. If the dropped off friend received the text messages, it may be someone from her mobile home park. A lot of people are questioning, was there anyone in the vehicle when she got out at the gas station? That's being talked about a lot. Cindy said, justice for Natalie. Breathe easy, sweet mama Beth. 18 years. Hopefully it's not like that with Missy Bevers, Jessica Johnson, Kristen Andriacchio. You know, hopefully they get their justice out there. It's so good to hear when people get their justice finally. I think the Natalie confession is tomorrow. Again, thank you, Lollipop. I appreciate you. Does it look like her blood is, or I'm sorry, I don't know where I got blood from. Does it look like her hood is popped open, or am I tripping? Let's go back and look at it. Let's go back and look at it, because that's actually, okay, here we go. Let's pull it up here again. I don't know. You might be right. Can we save this image? It's a web file, but maybe I can. Hold up 1 second. Let's see if we can save it and zoom in on it. Yep. Okay, there we go. Does her hood look popped? What do you guys think? It's really good. God bless her for never giving up. For real, why is it taking so long? They can get DNA back within 3 days, T-REV. The cops likely already know whose remains they have found, unless the lab is just super busy. I was expecting within 3 days, at least very fast. Yes, her hood has been popped. It does definitely look like that. I don't know if maybe did they pop it, or did they just take a picture of it as is? That's a great question also. Sent you a photo of location found, fam chat. Okay. So this is exactly where it was found. Vehicle was found. Let me save it. I'll pop that one open in a second. And let me grab the other one that you sent too. I think it was this one. All right, there we go. Lawson. Her hood, though, they say the hood looks pop. This seems similar to the Chelsea Grimm case. I haven't heard of that one. Is it Chelsea or Did you probably forgot to put that, man? That's what I think. Her hood has been popped. A random person wouldn't know who to text the info to. That's a good point too, Lisa. But then again, how hard is it to open somebody's phone or have them open their phone and be like, who do you talk to the most right now? And you never know. Or they looked at the text messages and seen mom and or sister, or some people put the names in like that. Yes, it looks open. I have a car exactly like that. Says night nurse. Brianna says yes from this angle. Patty says it looks popped. Jean says it looks it looks open. Angelica says dental records are like next day, if not the same. They are on a trail. That's what I was thinking. I said that exactly earlier to Angelica. I'm like, they're on somebody's trail because they're super quiet right now. Remains found, and pretty much it's been quiet besides some media talking. So there's got to be something heating up in an investigation or whatever's going on. Remains have been found near where Summer Wells went missing, Bridget Smith said. So as of recently, when was that? Send me an article on that. That's interesting. Sure what that means, but strange nonetheless. Why would law enforcement pop the hood? Good question. I don't know. Maybe to check to see if she was broken down, but then again, you could just turn the car on if the keys are there. So kind of a little bit. Maybe she had some issue and someone stopped to help. And yeah.
A few moments later.
Turns out that way. I hope she is alive. Same. I hope she's alive too. Miss PJ says I'm a little behind, but how did the one who sent text? How did the one who sent text, or who was the one who sent text? Maybe you meant. Did they do that on her phone? Okay, so let's pull this. Hollis sent me 2 pictures. Let's pull those up. Here's one. Hollis, are you saying this is where the vehicle was found? Right here? Tuesday. It does look opened. She could be chained up somewhere and they found somebody else's remains. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a serial killer in Texas right now? I'm sorry, but correct me if I'm wrong, but if 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months ago, JLR was just out there and investigating this possible serial killer. Her body, ladies, did they do that on her phone? That's a great question. I thought I'm embarrassed. Her body, T-REV, they need to fingerprint the entire outside of the hood. But yeah, see if they can pull anybody's prints. Only about a half. Hit like that like button. Come on, guys. Yeah, make sure you hit that like button if you're just coming in. Subscribe to the channel. Like button. I wonder if this case is related to Melissa Davis because her killer hasn't been found and she died late September. In Texas? Autumn? What is true? Just to your page. It was a burner phone. Hollis says that's all they said near the intersection of Lawson and Hayes. So if this is near Lawson, the intersection may be this way or right here in front then. I mean, there's nothing. The car parked though. That makes me think that I just don't have a good feeling about this. Car parked out here. Something malicious happened to her. Perp dumps the car right here on the side of the road. Gets picked up. Perp and maybe an accomplice who said, here, dump this car. I don't know what happened between y'all, but hey, maybe somebody you know what I mean? You know how sometimes people do help. That's what it seems like. Somebody, he, she, whoever dumped the vehicle right here. This is just my opinion and my thoughts and what I'm seeing in my head like right now. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying in general. A theory. I feel like somebody did harm to her and dropped her vehicle right here on the side of this road and either got picked up, A, or B, walked off and went home or whatever. It's just not a good feeling. You know what I mean? Wallet being in the vehicle. It's just it's too much going on there. Sorry, T, but I got to tell you that I love your hat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thoughts, though. I mean, that's just my thoughts. Definitely not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. T-REV, have you seen any articles saying that the family had her car towed away before the law enforcement got to it?
Oh my God.
No, I haven't seen any articles that say that. If you have, send them to me. That's a little crazy. Definitely not a good feeling. Sounds like Crystal Rogers. Crystal Rogers is another case that we're going to be jumping into. There's been a lot of stuff picking up in that. Not only that, Regina, who's in here, that's her cousin, actually. So much meanness and hurtfulness in our beautiful world. Was Jennifer found? Nothing. Updates. Yeah, no updates. Jennifer not found that we know of. We haven't got any word back. Mind of Monsters, no word back on those remains. So we don't know if they have a match. They could be in the heat of an investigation right now. Who knows? Who knows? I definitely do want to know, though. I want to know if those were her remains, because just her vehicle being dropped on the side of the road like this, and you know, you got her wallet in there, like I said, it's just not good. As women, I know I have a lot of women in here. As women, are you guys dropping your car on the side of the road? Be honest with me. When have you ever dropped your car on the side of the road, disappeared from your family, and never talked? And there may be a small percentage that have. But in general, it's not normal. It's not normal. You're not leaving a wallet behind. It's just not normal. So that's what suggests foul play. And there's more. You got those text messages, etc. But definitely, it's pointing towards foul play. Nada, hell no, no way, never. What evidence do they have that points to BK, a planted knife sheath? No blood anywhere in the car, no photos or videos of him. She's talking about Brian Kohlberger. I'll get into that here shortly. I don't drive, but hell no, I wouldn't. Never, never. This world is on a fast track to hell. It's so sad. I don't drive, but Texas is slow when it comes to bodies. They are backed up. Remember, Texas thinks its own country. Seriously, I lost my best friend, and we are still trying to get the boyfriend. Linda Miller says, sorry to hear that, Linda. Never, not happening. Donna says never. Let me drive. Doing that. Virtual video of the tunnels is on the college website. We'll definitely check that out. Send it over. No way. I hardly ever leave the house. This seems personal and intentional. Bing bang. Agreed. It definitely seems personal. It definitely seems intentional. You get what I'm saying? Like, this wasn't, yeah, let me get a little bit of money off her real quick. It just doesn't feel like that. Right? Her wallet is in the vehicle. It just doesn't feel like, yeah, let me just get this little bit of money off her and I'm going to do what I do. But this is different. My family has known since day one. Brooks killed Crystal 100%. But corruption in town from that family's money kept my Aunt Sherry from getting justice.
Oh my God.
Just with the text messages, very sus. A lot of you follow the Crystal Rogers case? I'm trying to see if I see anything else. They don't have any other angles of this vehicle. All you can see is here, and it does look like the hood's popped. That's about it. This was another setup. Let's see. But to be honest, I think if it was abducted, they throw me out. Wouldn't want to listen to my mouth. Wouldn't want to listen to my mouth. Shit. I hardly ever leave the basement myself.
Oh Bing my God.
Hold up 1 second. Olaskaga. I think it is right. I think I said it right. Olaskaga. It looks like they got. Hold on.
Well, an urgent search is underway for a missing Dallas ISD employee who hasn't been seen since last week.
Police in Seagoville, southeast of Dallas.
So I wonder if the search teams found her, or a dog found her. I didn't see where, or I found her. The remains. I don't know why I'm saying the remains are hers. Keep your fingers crossed. So they're not in general, but the remains that were found. Was it a search team that found the remains? Was it? I'm assuming it was a search team.
Think she may be in danger, and Fox 4's Dan Godwin is live at the Seagoville Police Department.
Yeah, I seen that. It was.
Dan.
Lauren, friends and loved ones of 24-year-old Jennifer Mendez Olesko-Aga understandably growing more concerned with each passing day. It has now been 1 week since she was last seen or heard from. The Seagoville Police Department is now leading this missing persons investigation, but Jennifer's family still conducting its own searches in hopes of finding clues. There are flyers being posted with Jennifer's picture. Some are being handed out to drivers or anyone else who might help get the word out. Police say Jennifer was last seen on surveillance video on Wednesday of last week, dropping off a friend at a mobile home park in Seagoville.
When we found out that she never made it home that Wednesday night, it was kind of like a hint, like, hey, there's something going on. You know, she always makes it home. She was very punctual at work. Like, she didn't show up the next day. We're like, okay, this is not okay. Like, something's going on.
Last Thursday, Jennifer's family members found her white.
All right, so there's other shots of that. Let's get a look at that again. There has a couple different shots of this vehicle.
This is not okay. Like, something's going on.
Last Thursday,
Yeah,
Jennifer's
this case, yeah,
family
one second,
members
I
found
got
her
you.
white 2015 Buick alongside a road in Mesquite. This spot is not on the way home from where she was last seen. There were no signs of damage or evidence that anything was wrong. A Seagoville police detective searched the vehicle and found Jennifer's wallet. Family members have been returning to where the car was discovered, searching a wooded area for anything that might help solve this mysterious disappearance. We mentioned Jennifer was last seen in Seagoville, but she is a resident of Dallas. Police here are.
Does it look like it in this? Hold on, let's go back to it. Yeah, it does. Right. If you look from this angle, which it's actually good that we got another angle. You can tell it's definitely popped. Such a sad situation. That hood's definitely popped. Chelsea Grimm missing Arizona car found with flat tires. Law enforcement made contact with her prior to missing, says Exotic Prairie. I have to check that one out. A couple people have been mentioning that. See people talking about this sleuth trial. Vander Sloot. And this was the last update, which is right. This one shows.
Last Thursday, Jennifer's family members
Going
found her
on,
white
Mama Callie?
2015 Buick alongside a road in Mesquite. This spot is not on the way home from where she was last seen. There were no signs of damage or evidence that anything was wrong. A Seagoville police detective searched the vehicle and found Jennifer's wallet. Family members have been returning to where the car was discovered, searching a wooded area for anything that might help solve this mysterious disappearance. We mentioned Jennifer was last seen in Seagoville, but she is a resident of Dallas. Police here are getting help from the Texas Rangers on this case, but they're also asking anyone with information about what happened to come forward and contact them.
All right, so you were asking about Jennifer Mendez Oleskaga case update. So she went missing on September 27th. Now that they found the vehicle was parked on the side of, I think, what route? I forget what route it was, like Route 10 but her Buick was found on the side of the road with her. It literally had her wallet in there. Like what? And they got weird text messages and all that. So now that leads us up to this point where they found these remains. And we're waiting. We don't know. I haven't heard anything in days now. So there's remains that were found. We're just waiting to see if they match hers. And it's within the area. It is definitely within the area where her vehicle was found. Foul play 100%. Yes, I have that same exact feeling, Liz. Got a feeling car was dumped by someone other than her. I 100% feel that. I feel like this is foul play. 1,000%. Somebody said that it would turn out like Carly Russell. I think a mile away in a perfect world, we would all be spreading unconditional love. Too bad nothing is perfect. Pickle says late and had to rewind. I'm glad to see Miss Chapin out a little more now. It's been a year. Feelings will change, and maybe it's comforting to connect with other families of horrible crimes. Yeah, I was actually pretty happy to see her out there and talking, to have the nerve to have a microphone in her hand and speak. Shout out to her. Felt good seeing her do that. It really did. Pull this back up though. Look back at that bad boy. That definitely looks popped. And then if you look at this from this angle, so you got that angle and this angle. That hood is most definitely popped. But did they pop it or did they just leave it in that condition? Police would tell you not to touch. Don't touch shit. Nah. Let me pull up the other one that I had here. I don't think I've seen this one.
Police and Texas Rangers are searching for a missing 24-year-old woman, with friends and family growing concerned over mysterious text messages they received. Take a look at Jennifer Mendez Olescoaga. Investigators say she vanished last Wednesday evening after dropping off one of her friends at a trailer park. Well, family members later found her car abandoned on the side of the road. They made that discovery the next morning, with the family telling police that Jennifer's friends had been receiving strange text messages. Listen to this. Things like, quote, "Are you missing someone? You'll never find her, and you know you'll never see her again." Police say the content of those texts does point to foul play. Let's bring in News Nation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, thank you so much for your time on this. There are still so many unanswered questions here, but what is first likely going on behind the scenes in this investigation?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Nicole. I think first things first, they are absolutely examining her digital history. I think because of these text messages clearly pointing to foul play, although, we don't know for certain, they are really looking at her digital trail. What was her social media like in the hours just after she was last seen, which was about 8 p.m.? What was her call log like? What were her text messages like? I also think that they're probably tracing the origins of those text messages. My gut tells me it's probably from a burner phone, which is obviously going to be difficult to track. But if it's not, they'll be able to figure out who sent them very, very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Because something that certainly stood out to me here, and I don't know if it did to you, but how unusual is it, for loved ones, family, friends of a missing person to receive not only these type of taunting messages, but also they report getting these messages not only after she went missing, but also before she went missing and during this time that she's, allegedly it happened. What stands
That's where I'm at with it. What is taking so long to confirm the human remains?
out about that to you?
So it's very unusual, and obviously, I don't think this is the connection here, but it's actually reminiscent of what we saw with the Zodiac killer and other serial killers that sent messages to family members or the press, sort of taunting them about the people that they had either killed or kidnapped. It's rare. It's not typically something we see, or if we do see them, then we see them with basically ransom activity, wanting something back in return. This is just taunting to taunt, which is definitely unusual.
All right, so Tracy, earlier there was this.
What kind of are you missing someone? Literally, That's crazy. So they're getting text messages like, "Are you missing someone?"
Kidnapped girl in New York. Luckily, she was found. But are missing adult cases handled differently than missing kids? I mean, what is the protocol for someone who is an adult?
So, yes, to answer your question in short, yes, missing children cases are handled differently in that police get on them right away. Typically, in the case of a missing adult, it is within 24 to 48 hours that you can then declare them missing. I think in this case, because they had those text messages and because the vehicle was found, they were able to declare her missing a lot sooner. So I think in this case, they had that on their side and really a shorter runway in terms of investigation and having the tools that they needed to declare her missing much earlier. And that brings a whole host of other resources, like you had mentioned before, the Texas Rangers.
And it sounds like a lot of people right now, really love this woman. They're worried about her. What would be your advice to Jennifer's family and friends right now?
I know that this is going to sound strange, but I think answering some of those text messages and trying to see if you can keep an open line of communication with them, because even though it's a burner phone, one of the things that they can do is perhaps geolocate where those calls are coming from and that where those text messages, are coming from. And I think that would also be helpful. Also, reaching out to the media,
October 26th.
getting her face in front of as many people as possible. Also, where she was taken from in Mesquite, I-20 is there. That is a very major thoroughfare. It's not very far from where I am now. And it's not that far to Louisiana and other states. So I think it's also important to get the word out to other police departments, perhaps in Shreveport and in cities of states close by.
All right. Well, former FBI agent, former CIA agent, and
former FBI, former CIA. Tracy Walden. Damn eyes. This is crazy. Again, I'm gonna look for another update, hoping that something came out. I just don't get what's taking so long with those remains. 6 days ago. Come on. Let me go to the actual thing because it says it right here. I'll bring a copy over for you guys. Let me bring this over here. Oh, they're trying to make you. I see what's going on here. Nobody wants to see that. Well, it looks like we won't be looking at it. They try to make you pay for it. Human remains found Mesquite near search for Dallas. I'm trying to see the exact location. And that's 2 weeks ago. You'll never find her. You'll never see her again. Texas police search for missing woman after texted threats. This is even 2 weeks ago. So these are very old articles. Here we go. I know I'll be able to actually read this one. Let's pull it up. Now it says, during a search for a missing Dallas ISD teacher's assistant Thursday, Seagoville police discovered human remains in a wooded area of Mesquite at 5:53 p.m. October 12th. So this was October 12th. We're talking, 6 days ago. We're talking 6 days ago. So at 5:53 October 12th, so 5:53 p.m. October 12th, Mesquite police were sent to the area near Interstate 20 in Lawson Road to investigate remains found by officers. Now, I see where, okay, so Hollis had sent this right here. In this, which is Lawson. Let's exit that one. This is Lawson Road. So it says the Mesquite police were sent to the area near Interstate 20 and Lawson Road to investigate remains found by officers with the Seagoville Police Department during a search for Jennifer Mendez Alice Kawaga, who went missing 2 weeks ago. Alice Kawaga vanished after dropping a friend off at the Creekside Mobile Home Park in Seagoville on September 27th. Her family says that friend that friend received some disturbing text messages afterwards. So the friend actually received disturbing text messages right after she dropped her off. So not too long after. So you're saying, so she dropped her off, went to that gas station. We seen the gas station footage where she went in. Most people who were here, right? Or maybe you've been following this case and you've already seen that gas station footage. The friend is saying that they got disturbing text messages not too long after. So it said specifically, again, it says on September 27th, her family says that the friend received some disturbing text messages afterward, asking if they were missing someone and warning she would never be found. Her family spokesperson says they were notified Thursday about the search, but that they have not received confirmation on the identification of the remains. Mesquite police said this remains an ongoing investigation and that more information will be released as it becomes available. In the meantime, anyone with information is asked to contact major crimes at cityofmesquite.com. Again, in the meantime, anyone with information is asked to contact major crimes at cityofmesquite.com. Pretty wild. So those remains, still nothing about it. It's been, like I said, it's been days and days and days.
Jennifer's family members found her white 2015 Buick alongside a road in Mesquite. This spot is not on the way home from where she was last seen. There were no signs of damage or evidence that anything was wrong. A Seagoville police detective searched the vehicle and found Jennifer's wallet. Family members have been returning to where the car was discovered, searching a wooded area for anything that might help solve this mysterious disappearance. We mentioned Jennifer was last seen in Seagoville, but she is a resident of Dallas. Police here are getting help from the Texas Rangers on this case, but they're also asking anyone with information about what happened to come forward and contact them. Reporting live, Seagoville PD, Dan Godwin on Good Day.
So that's the latest update on that. Again, this is a little piece. So that's Lawson right there, Mesquite. So it is within this search area. Yeah, it's in the area where her vehicle was. Hopefully they solve this one fast and it doesn't take them a long time if it comes down to be that, which it seems like it is. Pray that it's not, but it seems like that it is. Oh yeah, this is the other one too with that picture. So that is the latest update on Jennifer Mendez. What do we got going here? Seen that? Oh yeah, there was something that I wanted to see in here.
Shocking new revelations in the brutal murders of 4 Idaho college.
Again, if you just came in, we just got done talking about Jennifer Mendez and catching up with the latest updates. We are waiting to hear about these remains that were found to see if they were hers or if anybody's going to be arrested. It's just a lot of weird shit going to the text messages. It doesn't add up.
College students last fall. A new report claims the 2 roommates who survived the massacre were awake and texting each other while their 4 friends were stabbed to death one by one. This new revelation reportedly coming from grand jurors on the case and leaked to family members. Now, the only suspect, Brian Koberger, is still awaiting trial. According to the probable cause filing, one surviving roommate says she witnessed the killer, described as having, quote, bushy eyebrows, walking past her and then out of the home. Prosecutors say they do have Koberger's DNA found on a knife sheath left under one of the victims, and the judge has entered a not guilty plea on Koberger's behalf. Let's bring in Misty Maris, legal analyst and trial attorney. Misty, thank you so much for your time. So this is a new twist. It allegedly comes from grand jurors in the case, but no one is going on record. What was your initial reaction to this potential bombshell?
As far as this is concerned, it's really difficult to verify whether this information is actually true. So let's go through a little bit of the history of the case. When the news first broke about this terrible, tragic killing, we learned that there were 2 roommates who survived the attacks who were in the house at the time. Now, at first we heard that they were both asleep. They didn't wake up till the following day. Then hits the probable cause affidavit. Well, the story begins to change. One of the roommates now had this encounter where she sees the assailant in the house that evening. So this is a dramatic change from the information that was set forth in that probable cause affidavit, if it were in fact the case that the 2 roommates were awake and texting during that time. So what does it mean for the case? Well, that would certainly be contemporaneous evidence relayed in those text messages as to what the 2 roommates heard and saw that night. Now, again, we haven't verified whether or not this is true, and we likely won't know until the trial actually unfolds. But it would certainly be a game changer for the prosecution.
Well, it
Sounds
certainly
like what
would,
we talked
and
about.
we know that there is, a gag order in this case. That's, a fact that we need to remember. So, what happens if someone keeps leaking information, whether or not it's true, and even if they're doing it?
Long story short, they're saying that the grand jurors leaked this information to the families. What's going on, Low 12? Welcome. So they're saying that the rumor is that grand jurors, 2 or 3 of the grand jurors leaked information to the families about stuff like this. Just saying.
Oh my God.
That is the rumor. I don't know it to be true. And like she just said, but in general, we were talking about that before anybody picked up on it. Remember of us hearing the same type of rumors?
Anonymously.
If the leaker is a grand juror, there are very, very strict rules
Exactly,
about what
Nancy.
grand juries can say in the public sphere. Now, those rules change jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but Idaho has a similar rule to New York. Grand jurors are not allowed to speak to anybody about the evidence that they see in the courtroom, about the deliberations as far as coming to that conclusion of actually coming back with an indictment. So this would all be completely off limits if, in fact, a grand juror was leaking this information. And there could be serious repercussions. It could be contempt of court. It could put the whole indictment at issue, depending on the nature of the communication. So that is certainly a problem. The gag order is really far and really expansive with respect to the prosecution, the defense, and any statements made or evidence that comes into the public sphere. So yes, there are very serious repercussions as far as contempt of court type charges and even jail time that could be associated with that. Now, that being said, anonymous leakers.
We don't know if it's true, but that is the rumor. That is the rumor. Steve, or I know the Gonsalves family has denied all that in general.
Are sometimes, number one, difficult to verify and sometimes difficult to identify. So it truly depends on the nature of the communication and whether or not that person can actually be tracked down. But keep in mind, anything that comes out in the public outside of the courtroom could potentially find its way into the trial, depending on how this happens and how the information has come to light.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
It's just insane. I don't know if some of you missed this, but again, I'm proud of her for doing this. Mama Callie, did you see this?
My name is Stacy Chapin, and I'm Ethan's mom.
I have to see this back again because I don't know. This one just brought tears to my eyes. Get your tissues ready.
And I actually didn't sit through it because it's too hard to watch, but I do want all of you to know that these were 4 of the greatest kids and that all of the great things that you read about them is legitimately true. And I can speak on behalf of my own son, who was an incredible human. And we miss them all terribly. But it's a very strange situation to be. I'm not a true crime follower, but I am now thrust into the epicenter of something that has become pretty incredible. But anyways, don't forget these kids. I appreciate, I did watch the beginning where you spoke a little bit on behalf of all 4 kids, and they're amazing. They were.
I'm proud that she got out there, man. Like I'm still proud that she got out there. I really am. I'm proud that she got out there.
Brian Koberger.
Oh yeah, I
What
wanted to
will
watch this with
happen
you.
when he once again is face to face with a judge? Will victims' families show up? Many important details leading up to this moment. We now know that Koberger's lawyer, Ann Taylor, has waived her right to a speedy trial. After all this whining and moaning and complaining about a speedy trial demand, and now they waive it? It was all just a game. It was all just a ruse. This is they contest DNA, and they are questioning 3 unknown male DNAs found at the scene of this home where multiple co-eds had lived. People were in and out all the time. It was a real party house. That could have been anybody. So I'm trying to figure out which way the defense is headed, because I guarantee you they're going to claim that they had to waive their right to a speedy trial because they didn't have enough time to review the state's DNA evidence. BS. That's total BS. The state has said, and this can be confirmed, that the crime lab hasn't finished all the DNA analysis. So how can they turn over what they don't have? I'm Nancy Grace. Thanks for being with us. Joining me right now, 2 special guests that are intimately familiar.
Talk to them, Nancy.
With the legal aspects and the factual aspects of the Koberger prosecution. Dale Carson is joining me, high-profile lawyer out of Jacksonville, former FBI agent, former cop in Miami-Dade, author of Arrest Proof Yourself. You can find him at dalecarsonlaw.com. He's been studying the legal angles since this first broke. And I mean, when the murders occurred, he's been on the case. Also with me, Chris McDonough. You know him well. He is the director of the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective with around 300 homicides under his belt. 25 years in law enforcement. I found him on the YouTube channel, The Interview Room, when he was doing a very slow.
The who hasn't, huh? The what? The PF hasn't handed over the 8 discoveries.
Drive through all around the King Road murder scene. That's when I found Chris McDonough. Dale Carson, Chris McDonough, thank you for being with us. First of all, Dale Carson, how many times have defense attorneys filed, including you, filed speedy trial demands when you, no more than the man in the moon, intend to take the case to trial within 6 months? Total BS.
Well, it absolutely is. But the reason, ostensibly, is that the defense hasn't had an opportunity to fully prepare for the case, as the prosecution already has. The prosecution has all the evidence, right? But it's interesting.
No. I hate to interrupt you in the first 2 minutes, but no. The state has handed over all the evidence. It's not like they're hoarding it or hiding it. And let me tell you a story. I almost said a funny story, but it wasn't funny to me, Dale.
Thank you,
and Chris, you know only too well from being on the stand. I was preparing a death penalty case where infants, several infants in their baby beds were killed because
that's a great conversation, Mike Jones. Great conversation. He said, don't like Nancy Grace, but all DNA found must be traced to find all persons that were in that house. Now, I know you're talking about all the DNA that was mentioned. What was it? 1 outside and 2 inside? I forget exactly. What was it? Glove outside? Definitely want to find out who it comes back to in general. I agree.
Cause of a rival.
Definitely want to know who that DNA belongs to.
Set gang. All right. What this means is that the women that were the girlfriends of the gang members got into an argument with the women that were girlfriends of the other gang members. I seem to recall over some clothes. Yeah. So one gang throws a Molotov cocktail into the home of the victims and says, let's fry them babies. And they did. The babies were burned to death instantly. Yeah. Now, if that's not a death penalty case, I don't know what is. But my point is, leading up to it, is that the defense kept saying, and the trial, there was no speedy trial demand. The trial was long, long down the road. I'm talking at least another year. They said I did not hand over a file. And I said, I've given you every single thing I've got. So I finally handed my whole file, everything I had, to the judge. Guess what it was? They were right. And I was right. There was one thin file.
Yeah, Sally, we were covering that. I remember when that all went down.
That the homicide cops, for whatever reason, inadvertently, I don't know, had not given to me.
I've never heard that.
So there was a stack of, I think, about 20 pages the defense didn't have, and I didn't have. So I remember taking the stand and saying, I've handed over everything I've got. It went that far. I actually had to take the stand. And then we found out where the missing pages were. And that was a real blow to me, to be accused of withholding information. I want to win, but I want to win fair and square. I want the right people behind bars, and I want to win the fair way, because to me, prosecutors have the duty not only to seek justice, but to do it ethically. The defense is not bound by that. So when you say, Dale Carson, well, the state's got it, they've had it all this time. I don't know that they've had it all this time. There's still DNA results the state doesn't have.
Well, they collected it, and it's an opportunity for the defense.
You mean
to
the cops collected it and handed in the evidence? The prosecutors did not collect any evidence.
Well, no, not directly. Not directly.
That's
But what
right.
I was going to tell you, Nancy, is that, look, in a case like this where the defense has not entered a plea, the court enters a plea for the defense. And what that means is there's no reciprocity. The government has to turn over everything it's got, but the defendant does not. So that's an interesting nuance to what's going on here.
Well, let's talk about that for just one moment. And Chris McDonough, you got to hear this, because one thing the defense does have to hand over is notice of alibi, because in our jurisprudence system, which was brought over from the common law of Great Britain, it's not trial by ambush. Forever, the state has to hand over the evidence to the defense. Not always true the other way around. The defense doesn't always have to hand over everything to the state. But if there's an alibi, the defense does have to hand that over. So the state has a right to investigate it, to find out if it's a big fat lie. So get this, Chris McDonough. Brian Koberger's defense hands over an alibi, but they won't say what the alibi is. All they say is he likes to go driving around late at night alone. If that's not pervy enough, what? Looking in everybody's windows? How many times did he drive by the King Road murder scene that night, according to his cell phone, or in the past, according to his cell phone? Conveniently that night, I think he had a cell phone on airplane mode or turned off at the time of the murders, but then it was quickly turned back on for his circuitous route home. What kind of an alibi is that, Chris McDonough? Speaking of having to hand over evidence, that you like to drive around late at night by yourself?
Well, that, and Nancy, you've been on this from day one in terms of really inside this guy's head and then the defense's positioning here. That alibi in of itself is going to be very problematic for them, because I think if we just apply common sense, the fact that he now, presents this alibi of, well, he's just out for a nightly stroll in his car. Of course, we all do that, right? At 3 o'clock in the morning, and he just happened to be driving by that house 12 separate times, which the
I tell you what,
confirm.
if my husband David Lynch got up out of the bed and went for a drive by himself at 3 a.m., I think my head would blow off.
I agree.
Because if I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start feeding guinea pigs and cats and dogs and grandmommies and twins and get everybody to school, N-O. He is not going for a drive at 3 a.m. and breathing in the fresh air. No. Go ahead. I mean, do you go driving in the middle of the night, Chris McDonough? Because I'm sure your wife would like to hear about that. Do you?
Yeah, my wife would kill me.
What about it, Carson? You go driving around at 3 a.m. in the morning? What, to get some nice freezing fresh air?
Well, that's a strange alibi because it's not really an alibi. All he's saying is, I don't really know where I was, which is not an alibi.
I mean, Chris McDonough, you drove those. Yeah, you're right. An alibi is I was here at this time and these are the witnesses. So it's total BS. And
Chris did drive those roads. That's how I got that video that shows exactly where that Linda Lane footage was.
Chris McDonough, you and I have gone to the scene many, many times. It's freezing cold. The roads are treacherous. Their home was up on an elevated slant and very tricky. The streets leading up to their home, the apartments, all the student apartments, it's barely two cars can cross, and they're going up these slick streets covered in ice. So why is he driving around in sub-zero temps at 3 o'clock in the morning on a treacherous road?
And to dovetail into what you're thinking, Nancy, the only thing I can think, and this is, obviously just my opinion, is either A, they're going to come up with some type of medical insomnia, connection through the snow problem.
Hold on, I got to write this down. Hold on, I can see it coming. Okay, now what did you say? Insomnia and what?
And they're going to connect it back to his condition, is the snow, problem that he was having, a medical condition there. And of course, that opens up the timeline for the earlier videos that have been floating around, about an hour before what the authorities have said they believe is the exact time the homicides go down.
So he's out driving. Guys, I feel a little bit guilty because I've recounted the story. They're going to sleep in here because they know what I'm about to say. Oh, here she goes again. But when I drove that route, I swear, and you can ask, I think I had Kelly with me. Illy, I don't know if you were with me or not. The night we drove that route that he took you couldn't see a thing. When a semi would come toward me, I would have to just pull off the road because I could not see anything. And I've got 2020 and 2018. And it was so dark, all I could see were big lights coming straight at the car. So I just pull off and wait. And I'm usually a much more aggressive driver. That said, there was visual snow. It was snowing. And he's out riding around. Oh, how I would.
She said visual snowing. Is that what she just said?
2018. And it was so dark, all I could see were big lights coming straight at the car. So I just pull off and wait. And I'm usually a much more aggressive driver. That said, there was visual snow. It was snowing. And he's out riding around. Oh, how I would love. There's no way he's going to take the stand. But I would love to cross-examine whoever is going to say that on the stand. Chris, did I interrupt you or did I interrupt Dale Carson? It's their fault.
You're fine, Nancy. And we're always honored to be here as your guest. And you are so right on target here. One of the things I've been thinking about, knowing that both you and I have driven it, and this idea of, okay, why are they going so far to say in the motion that Well,
Definitely
we'll
drove
figure
it.
out this alibi on the state's witnesses through questioning, right? I'm thinking, well, how does that come to play here? And the only thing I can think of is this medical condition, but I could be 100% wrong. However, that
wait.
does
Are you
open.
talking about insomnia? Because what the perfect cure for
Yeah.
insomnia, you can't go to sleep, is to go out in the sub-zero cold temps with your windows down and the snow. That's supposed to get you sleep.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. There was a lot of locals that were pissed off. I remember that we were actually live during that time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going in my head. But that in of itself, if you take that night for an example, all the activity, just hours before this tragedy goes down, there are kids everywhere from the college. I mean, we know about the police contact with the alcohol and then there's these videos that have surfaced where they're showing the cars, various cars pulling up, and some people believing that's them. The authorities haven't released that yet. But what that does is it opens up a narrative, and you know this more than anybody, for the defense to start saying some other dude.
Oh,
some other
the
guy.
sod defense. Some other dude did it. Oh.
Yep. And then they create their theme around it. And they start projecting it into the public through these motions and see what sticks. I think that's what's been going on here. And you've been on top of this, from the beginning. We've talked about this
Dale
multiple
Carson,
times.
Chris McDonough and I are dragging you by your toenails. You can bring your wife. Just bring
What?
everybody, the cat, the dog, everybody. You've got to go out there and you've got to wait like we did around midnight and take that route that he took about wasn't it a 45-minute route from the murder scene to his apartment?
Right. That's what I thought.
And it's actually about a 9 to 12-minute drive. He was out on this long, circuitous route, getting himself as far away from the murder scene as possible.
That's why October 26th is going to be a big day. And yes, we will be covering it. October 26th. Brian Kohlberger. Big day there. Big day there. They're trying to get this motion to dismiss. See what happens.
Home. It was like his house, his apartment in Pullman is here. The murder scene is here. So he goes all the way around in the dark, no street lights, to right here, instead of going, boop. That's what happened. Now, right there, a jury is going to say, no way. But now we've got
exactly right. That's exactly right, Nancy. A jury is going to begin with this case with him surveilling in some way or another that house where these young gals live. And then they're going to bring it right up to the very end where that sheath for the knife is found with his DNA on it. And a reasonable jury is going to find him guilty, clearly.
Ryan
They
Kohlberger's
want to
court date.
postpone this trial as long as they can in order for the hubbub, if you will, to die down, which it's not gonna, because this is such a massive killing in a rural area. There are 44 counties in Idaho. They don't even have a public defender's office per se. What they do is they engage the services of attorneys who are in the areas because it's so rural and there are different rules for every one of those counties. So they don't have to have depositions, or they can.
Dale, before you go off on depositions, isn't it true they never planned to try this case within this speedy trial period at all? This was just a ruse to drive the state crazy. Because I can tell you this much, Dale, and I don't know if this happened to you, Chris, when you would be a witness on the stand as a homicide detective, but I don't care if it was a shoplifting. I don't care if it's a theft by receiving. If somebody hit me with a speedy, they're going out first. I mean, Monday.
I don't think it's Chris. I'd say this. I don't think it's more of driving around at night. I mean, because some people do drive around at night. Some people can't sleep and do go on night drives every now and then. I've heard of it. It's not unheard of. But I don't know. The phone pings, you being in that area, that's a whole different situation.
morning as quickly as I can put that case together. And then when I do get a conviction, I'm lucky enough to get a conviction, then they're getting the max.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Well, but look, but speedy trial issue,
going
at
on,
least
Elaine?
from the defense side, is this: you set it for speedy trial when you know the state has to change its behavior in order to give you a reduced sentence. That was never going to happen in this case. And so when you request speedy, the government knows that you think your client is provably innocent. And that's never been the case here. So you know it was a tool.
it's just a way to
from the very-
screw with the state. They never
Yeah,
intended this. And the outcome is if the state didn't try it on time, there would be an automatic acquittal and there is no retrial.
Well, unless the
jeopardy
government comes up-
attaches.
Yeah, but if the jury panel,
I mean, anybody, you have the right to drive wherever the hell you want to drive. But now there was a quadruple homicide here, and your phone's paying. You got your DNA's up in the. I mean, there's some situations there. It's not like they just picked this guy about the litter and was just like, yeah, well, his DNA possibly might be in there. Let's go ahead and slap the cuffs on him. His DNA might be in there. No, they got a hit back on him. So, I mean, driving at night, you could drive at night all you want. I don't find anything wrong with that. But when it comes up and it's this is just a whole different situation. You know what I'm saying?
not sworn in, jeopardy doesn't attach.
Guys, I was just handed this.
Scout Sally.
It's highly
Making me
complicated
laugh
and
the first
it's very
time.
tech oriented.
Thank you.
It's perfect. Sydney drew this. Okay, 10 minutes. I love holding up any type of a visual. Apartment to house, as I mentioned earlier. I thought it was 9. It's 10 minutes from the apartment to the house. But the route he took that night is from the house 20 minutes this way, 20 minutes that way, and 20 minutes. It wasn't 45. Sydney, you're right. It was more like an hour. He goes for an hour drive. And how is he going to explain that to a jury? I mean, that just starts with it. Now, okay, let's talk about what's going to happen on Wednesday. And again, Chris McDonough, Dale, please jump in.
Hey, Nancy, can we
Yes.
just go back just for a second on the drive?
Yes.
Didn't he show up that morning as well?
Yes.
Wasn't there evidence that they believed he potentially went back and there was reports of his vehicle in the area that morning?
That's right. He went back, and it reminds me of Scott Peterson going back after he murdered Lacey, his wife, and unborn child Connor. We go back and look out over the San Francisco Bay and just look at it because there was a GPS tracker on his car. So we know he went back over and over to look out there. What was he looking to see if her body was going to pop up? But that's really common amongst defendants is they go back to the scene to just see what's going on.
They want to relive it. Kidding me? That's part of their conduct, typically.
Right. So how is this going to play into the...
Bundy did that. All of the major serial killers have done that. And although we don't know that he is a serial in the sense of having clearly killed other people previously, we do know that with a quad murder, he certainly is a serial killer. And he has all of the, think about it. He is so into law enforcement that he tries to be a police officer. He tries to be a really well-known, if you will, graduate student in criminal justice. I mean, what other indications are there that somebody's just involved terribly in law enforcement, yet he can't get into it? Thank God.
You know, Jackie, great minds think alike. I was just going to ask our two guests,
Thank
what do you
God.
make? And there hasn't been a lot of discussion about this at all because everyone is focused on the challenge to the DNA on the knife sheath. And one thing I want to point out, and I think you and I, the three of us have talked about this maybe off camera. They've got to have a way to fight that DNA. It's his DNA on the knife sheath that he left under the body of Maddie Mogan. His DNA, we believe, is on the buckle, the snap of that knife sheath. Now, they've got to come up with a way. They're either going to say the DNA science is flawed, that his DNA was there incidentally or accidentally. Maybe he went to a gun and knife show and opened up that knife and left his DNA. Or
Right.
he can claim it was planted. But think about it. The knife
It was planted.
sheath was collected from under Maddie's body before Brian Kohberger became a suspect. What I mean by that is significance. The knife sheath was taken and handed over to the crime lab, to the scientists, to try to find DNA or fingerprints. And it was only weeks and weeks later that Brian Kohberger was identified. So how could they have planted the DNA? And it's very likely that some of the cops in there processing the scene had on a shoulder cam or a body cam. So there may even be video of when the knife sheath was found. So just follow this through.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was thinking that there's possibly video or body cam footage.
Its logical conclusion. That means that someone would have to, after Kohberger is named as a suspect, get his DNA, not his father's DNA, but his DNA, and go to the crime lab, get in to where they're holding all the evidence, probably get someone to conspire with them and plant his DNA, Kohberger's DNA, on the knife sheath. That's what would have to happen. What?
That narrative is why you were a good prosecutor, because that's exactly what the prosecutor is going to tell the jury.
I mean, yeah, people love to hear about, oh, the evidence was planted, but think about what it would have required to plant his Kohberger's DNA on that snap, on that sheath. That did not happen. Okay, so they got to fall back on the other 3 attacks on the DNA. But Jackie was holding up a sign, and I agree. Because we're all focusing on the DNA and the unknown male DNA.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It depends. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch the trial, but I don't know. Do we want to see that?
That was found somewhere in the house. I don't know. Was it the kitchen? Was it on a
bleeped
doorknob? Was it in a bathroom? Where was it? Don't know. But they haven't been able to match that other DNA to a single person. And we don't know of any male DNA that was in the girls' bedrooms. That said, no one's been talking about the fact that Kohberger is fighting tooth and nail to keep cameras out of the courtroom. To you, Chris McDonough, why do you think Kohberger doesn't want a camera in the courtroom?
Well, I think for him, it quite frankly, I think it's more about his attorneys than it is for him. I think he probably wants them in there, but the attorneys don't want them in there because they know that the public will see what he is about.
That's a fact. Same, Gina. Gina said, I would only want to see the sheath part, not bodies, just that sheath. What are the chances the guy's DNA you choose to plant helps you out by turning his phone off at the time of the murder, drives by a house 5 times or more? The other Aaron says, guilty in my opinion. Nancy says they won't publicly show crime scene footage, and they shouldn't. Twizzler Gobbler, the weapon was never, or the weapon has never been found though, right? Yeah, that's not the, I mean, as far as we know, it hasn't been found. But if you go back to that search warrant in Pennsylvania that has knife circled, but no make, no model to it, I find that strange. Right? Cindy says, I got to put this out there. Natalie, you go, girl. At least she got one good kick in the balls on Vandersloot.
Oh, my God.
Missy J says, I think that body cam footage should be shown, but with the bodies blurred. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. As long as they take the proper, but they're not put out the raw footage, so, which they wouldn't. I have faith they wouldn't.
Through his body language, not only how he reacts. You know.
I mean, come on. I don't think the cops planted, but I'm not saying anything's possible. Right? Anything's possible. But I think the cops did a thorough job on this for what they had in this town. But hey, some people think different. We all have opinions.
I mean, you know, I can only imagine when you would ask questions to a witness to watch the defendant's reaction. You know, juries pay attention to that very closely, as we all know. And, you know, just to jump real fast back to the DNA gap, i.e., you know, somebody planted it, i.e., law enforcement and or the government.
Really? You think it is? Do you think he kept the K-bar as like a trophy? Maybe this was his first time and he kept it. There's something that we don't know about. I don't know. That's just me popping out theories. And let's see. Thank you, Hollis. I appreciate that. It's wild.
But it also,
what's going
if
on,
we
Mike?
were to try to think through this a little bit deeper with the some other dude theory, then they would have to find somebody that had a direct correlated link to Kohberger, somehow put that sheath in his hand during that time of that relationship. And then, of course, that individual would be the suspect who planted it up into that bedroom. And what's interesting here is the fact that it's in the bedroom. That is a very personal approach. And Kohberger would be the most logical individual through his personality type and through obviously all of the forensic diagnosis of this guy on a psychological.
I personally think he got rid of it too, but in general, I'm just going based off that search warrant that's in Pennsylvania where it has knife. There's a Smith & Wesson knife on there, pocket knife or whatever, but you had that one that just said knife. So I don't know what kind of knife it was. It didn't say specifically. I don't know if they left that out intentionally or they just didn't have anything on it or they couldn't tell what kind it was.
Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Remember,
Find that
following on
one weird.
Remember, they were killed with a knife, a sheathed knife, probably.
Yeah, well, and it's a very personal instrument, right, Del?
Guys,
Right.
again, Sydney and Jackie are waving frantically at me, and they're right again. There is Kohberger's, and the state has this, purchase of the knife, a knife, and a sheath, exactly like the sheath that was found that goes with the knife, 7 months before the murders. He buys a knife and a sheath, and it looks just like the sheath found there with the matching knife. The knife has never been recovered. So my question would be, so where's that knife and that knife sheath? If this isn't it, then where is it?
Exactly. And that's a very high bar that they're going to have to try to get over. Just that piece alone.
Hey, listen to this, guys. The defense says, I bet they don't. They do not like cameras exclusively looking at their client. And I just want to remind everybody of something. And we went round and round about this when I took a job at Court TV with the late, great Johnny Cochran. God rest his soul. I didn't agree with a thing he ever said, but man, he could win a case. Juries love him, and I can see why. Just, that kind of person, they walk in the room and everybody wants to be with them. They're just, charismatic. Always, with every case, the defense did not want cameras in the courtroom. Well, the majority of the cases. Why? And why did Court TV think there should be cameras in the courtroom? In our Constitution, the Founding Fathers, there's something called the minutes.
This is facts.
The minutes are what's being said, say, on the floor, in the room, when statutes are being passed.
Welcome.
And our Constitution calls for open courtrooms. And in the minutes, the Founding Fathers said, we want the courthouses to be as big as it takes for the whole community to watch a trial. We are not Russia. We are not China, where proceedings happen in secret.
A lot of you said, do you think they will demolish 1122 King Road before trial? And that is the house in Idaho. Yes, 31%. No, 31%. 50-50, 19, and after trial, 1,000%. 19%. So 50-50 and after trial are tied.
Being run by the Taliban, who are jury, judge, and executioner. Our proceedings are in the open. And in our world, that means we all see justice unfold. Here, where Dale Carson is, where Chris McDonough is, we can watch justice unfold. That's what the founding fathers said. And if the defense doesn't like it, well, they shouldn't have done the crime.
Well, listen, when you look at Brian Koberger's photographs lately, he's been smiling. Now, what person charged with a quadruple homicide would be smiling in any event during the course of any court appearance? You'd be absolutely mortified, but not Brian Koberger. Why is that? And that's a question for the psychologists. But I suspect it's because he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, and I asked the psychologist that same question, Dale, and his answer was because he's the punisher.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Guys, we have our eyes on the courtroom as these proceedings go forward, and we pray for justice. Dale Carson, high-profile lawyer, joining me out of Jacksonville, former FBI, former cop. Chris McDonough, former homicide detective, director of Cold Case Foundation, star of YouTube.
You said if the sheet has a serial number on it, that would be great evidence. Yeah, if it had a serial number on it and it went back to something like Amazon.
The interview
Good point.
room. You know, we're laughing at certain points, but I can tell you some people that aren't laughing.
That's a very good point, actually. Bundy. Oh yeah, Bundy's defense lawyer. Yeah, that's
episode of Body Bag. Pure evil. That is the way that not one but two men have been described. What else do they have in common? Well, allegedly, many, many dead bodies. I'm talking about, of
I
course,
haven't heard this one. I know it's Bundy's defense lawyer talks Brian Koberger.
Ted Bundy, who immediately springs to mind whenever a serial killer or pure evil is named.
That's all right.
But now, according to many, parallels between Ted Bundy, who is called the Chi Omega Killer, but he actually killed many, many more women than those murdered in the Chi Omega house. Many parallels are being drawn between Ted Bundy and Brian Koberger, now accused of murdering 4 beautiful young Idaho students. We believe in their sleep or falling asleep.
I don't know, but Nancy, they got defense wounds. You say in their sleep, but if you go back and you look at these pressers and you really dig into it and taking the information that they're giving you, they're telling you that there's defense wounds there on some of the victims, which I think is very important to note, right? I mean, defense wounds.
Or in bed in the early morning hours around 3 a.m. When Ted Bundy was finally caught after 2 escapes, by the way, and convicted and put in the
because she said that you know, we believe that they were asleep, blah blah blah, but defense wounds was that did you get stabbed once and then wake up and start defending yourself, or was it you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that factor into that. I believe so. There's a lot of things that factor into that. You wake up in shock and have your hands up, or what? Who knows how it went down specifically?
Penitentiary.
Many
people thought it would never happen again. Wow, were we wrong? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. Take a listen to Parallels of Evil, the Bundy and Idaho killing.
I can only imagine what was going through his mind, the plotting, the planning, the scheming. It's very evocative of the Ted Bundy case, because we know now that those victims were spied on and stalked upon, just like these victims. There's really no doubt about it.
The comparisons of the parallels between the MOs, modus operandi, method of operation, between Bundy killings and the Idaho murders are eerie. Actually, very eerie in their similarities. Take a listen to who I now consider to be my friend, Cheryl Thomas.
When you read the headlines out of Idaho, what did you think?
I was really saddened to hear about the news that happened. And
that news brings Cheryl Thomas.
County, Florida, has been in there unlawfully attempt to kill a human being, to wit Cheryl Thomas, by beating her about the head.
Back to the darkest moments of her life, the night she was attacked in her own bed by serial killer Ted Bundy.
I could relate. It was a quick, immediately reaction to that scene.
Take a listen now to the neighbor of Cheryl Thomas, who was attacked that night by Ted Bundy. This is Debbie Ciccarelli.
We had been sound asleep. We'd come in that night from being out together, and I had heard this. Our house was up on blocks, and I heard this loud banging.
This was a good one, guys. This is a good one. We got to tune in.
And it startled me. I woke up and I listened for a little bit, and then woke my roommate up, and I said, there's something going on next door. And the thing is, the wall between Cheryl's side and our side was so thin that we could actually talk to each other through the wall. And we had a system that if there's something we're not feeling right about, we're going to call you. You need to answer your phone no matter what. Well, I called over there. I could hear the phone ringing. I could hear Cheryl whimpering. But I just had this real unsettling feeling, sick to my stomach. I had no idea what was going on. We thought maybe our cat was having kittens, and there was all this commotion in Cheryl's room for that.
With me, an all-star panel to analyze and decipher what we are learning as more and more evidence comes in.
It's coming up on, we're a little less than 30 days from a year that this took place. So we're less than 30 days. November 13th of 2022. We're almost a year. Is that hard to believe? Seriously, I'm at chat. Like, is that hard to believe that we are close to a year? I mean, it feels like yesterday. This is, I don't know.
About the Idaho murders. But first, I want to go to Fox News digital investigative reporter Audrey Conklin. Now, just then, Audrey, from our friends at News Nation, we were hearing Debbie Ciccarelli, and it sounds so much like what Dylan Mortensen said, that she heard something and she wasn't quite sure what it sounded like. Now, here, Debbie says thought she heard a cat mewing. But what she heard were Bundy's victims moaning during and after the attack, Audrey.
Yes, I mean, we've heard similarities from the murders in Moscow, that screaming or other kinds of noises, banging could be heard through the walls. We know that there was a dog in the building. It's unsure if the dog made any noise. But both of these communities in the 1970s and then last fall were close-knit college communities, close in their relationships and close in proximity. So there are a lot of similarities between these two.
Thank you for the 8 months, allegedly, LB. Thank you, Miss Bursey. Yeah. Last year at this time, I think I was covering Kylie Rodney. I think I was still talking about Kylie Rodney, Trinity Backus. There was a few cases around this time. So it's a little bit before.
Crimes.
To Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet, and host of Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan, who, by the way, is commemorating the 100th episode of Body Bags this week. Amazingly, congratulations on.
I'm gonna keep pausing, and I see good questions. He said, I believe that BK asked police if anyone else was arrested. Now that was reported again. That was reported. Who was it from? Brian Enton, 100%. Brian Enton is the one who reported that on Twitter. We had it pulled up. I remember that shit like it was yesterday. Brian Enton reported that, but we never got no clarification on that. So.
On that, Joe Scott Morgan, all the good you have done in this world. Joe Scott, the words of Dylan Mortensen just keep coming to mind. What we know of her words anyway. Guys, Dylan Mortensen is one of the 2 surviving roommates. Dylan Mortensen, we believe, actually saw the murderer who had just slain 4 sleeping or sleepy college students in Idaho, and described him. Good for her. She went back in her room and shut her door and locked it, not realizing, I don't think anyway, what she had actually seen or what had actually happened upstairs. But then you've got Bethany Funk also. We don't know what she's going to say, who may very well have slept through the whole thing. But remember the words of Dylan Mortensen and how that compares to what Debbie Ciccarelli heard. It's almost identical.
It is, and thanks for having me on today, Nancy. It really is, and in such close proximity to evil, and it is pure evil.
You really think that, Chris? Chris says Kylie Rodney was drunk and or high and drove her ass into that lake. Respectfully disagree.
You know, when we begin to, and as you've talked about these parallels relative between Bundy and Kohberger and these events that have gone down, and you have people that are, you know, just in the eye of the storm.
Marilyn says, I think when something seems impossible to believe, we try to explain events away as something logical. I wonder if we have a hard time assuming the worst until there is no other option.
They just get brushed by it, but they've wreaked havoc in their wake, these monsters along the way, and these people are all that are left behind to bear witness to this, at least potentially as an ear witness or an eyewitness. In Dylan's case in particular, you know, she's actually the person that we get that identifier, that big identifier. Do you remember back?
What explains Kylie Rodney's body being in the back of her vehicle? What explains that? Right. There's just a lot of weird circumstances in that.
Months ago, where she talked about the bushy eyebrows, you know, and that was the one thing that kind of resonated in this particular case.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. An incredible panel of guests who analyze disturbing. They were victims of Ted Bundy. We also speak with the renowned private investigator, Bill Warner, who worked the cases, and Ted Bundy's defense attorney, John Henry Brown. We traveled to Moscow, Idaho, to speak with Washington State University students and interview neighbors of Brian Kohberger. One neighbor shares exclusive insights about the suspect in the Idaho killings, Brian Kohberger. Don't miss Parallels of Evil, the Bundy and Idaho killings, streaming now exclusively on Fox Nation. You know, I was just thinking, I want to go to John Henry Brown. Guys, I know you've heard.
Why hasn't anyone interviewed the first responder college students that went over to the 1122 King residence that morning before the authorities were called? What did they truly witness? Well, we heard allegedly Ethan's best friend went in and checked his pulse and Xana's pulse. Remember that? We never confirmed it as being true, but that was reported and put out there. So
heard that name before.
I get what you're saying, for sure.
He is a renowned lawyer and was Ted Bundy's former defense lawyer. That must give you nightmares at night. You can find John Henry Brown at JHB for John Henry Brown, lawyer.com. John, thank you for being with us. John, do you go by John or Henry or John Henry?
Oh, either one's fine. I answer to a lot of things. So
I'm going to go with John.
Okay.
John.
I see people asking how many kids were there. I mean, I don't think we could ever really truly tell until trial comes. Because if you think about it, not much of that story is circulated out.
I'm thinking about all the literally thousands of criminal defendants that went before me as a prosecutor in inner city Atlanta. Very high crime volume. I mean, I would get 150 new felony cases a week. Woo. And many of those were, it sounds like a lot, many of those were theft by taking, theft by receiving a stolen car, cop pulls over a stolen car, and there's 4 guys in it, they all get charged. All right, that's easy to deal with unless they're, have a bad record. Or a simple possession of marijuana or cocaine, straight to rehab for you and next. There's so many cases that are easily disposed of. But there are those, John Henry Brown, that when the person walks in the room.
Harry Papp says, I think when the trial starts, we will be floored. Yeah, because we're going to find out a bunch of different things that aren't exactly the way that we picture it. Right? We're going to hear things that hit us from left field, like, what? You know what I mean? And then that's just the way it's going to be. I get it, because not everybody's speculations, right?
The particular judge I had would want me to meet with the defense attorney and bring in the defendant in the conference room. He could be charged with mass murder, serial rapist, didn't matter. And we would go through the case and I would explain what the state had at that juncture against them and offer a plea deal, or just say, no deal, you're going to trial, you big a-hole. So long story short, there were those defendants
if the trial started,
that when they would walk in and then walk out later, you just had the creepiest feeling about them. Did you ever have that feeling about Bundy?
Oh, yeah, constantly.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I didn't know if you were going to go to your grave going, he's innocent. But that said, okay, I want to hear about the creepy feeling. Are you listening, Dr. Bethany Marshall? Okay, you're not going to find any of this in your psychoanalytic books.
Most definitely, Jordan Rivers. Expect the unexpected. Definitely. Or expect some of the stuff, some of the stuff that's already circulating out there. If they were texting during the times of these homicides, I'm sure that'll be revealed along with what they were talking about. And if it was that big of a deal, they'd be shackled up right now.
This is true.
Okay, John Henry Brown, I want to hear about the feeling.
Well, when I first met him, he came across as kind of a caricature of a preppy sort of guy. What really got creepy was he was out of custody after he'd been released in Utah.
Oh, my stars. Wait. That's right. He was out of custody, free to continue killing people. And you said he was like a caricature of a preppy person. What do you mean by that?
Oh, he was trying to blend in with the Republican folks in Washington. We had a really great governor back then. Dan Evans was our governor, and I ended up working for Dan. That's how I got to Ted, is that somebody in Dan's staff recommended me to Ted. The really creepy thing started happening when, I'd meet with him on Saturday, and then the next Wednesday he'd show up and be wearing like the exact same clothes I was wearing. And he'd ask me where I get my clothes, where I get my shoes, what kind of car I drove, what kind of women I have.
Okay, wait. John Henry, you're telling me so much. To the rest of the panel, please soak this in, okay? Because I've got to ferret this out. Wait. So he'd ask you, where did you get that jacket? Where'd you get that shirt? What car do you drive? What women do you date? I find that interesting. He just throws the women in like you can buy one at the mall. Where'd you get that shirt? Where'd you get that date? Where'd she come from? Okay, that's a whole nother can of worms. But then he'd show up wearing like the same outfit, essentially, that you were wearing.
Right. I mean, one of the creepiest, I don't know if you know, but I wrote a book.
Wait. There were many, many people coming and going from that house, and the residents were used to all kinds of noises throughout the night. I'm not sure that I would have gotten up, especially being drunk.
No, I did not know about your book. What is the name of your book?
It's called The Devil's Defender.
The Devil's Defender. Is that on Amazon?
Oh yeah, actually Amazon editors
By the way, that's
voted it
Bundy's
the
lawyer.
best nonfiction book of that year. But
Best what book?
best nonfiction of that year.
The Devil's Defender. Oh, okay. I know what I'm going to do on vacation. I'm reading The Devil's Defender.
So one of the creepiest things in the whole Bundy adventure was he told me in Tallahassee in the jail there when I'd secured a plea bargain for Ted. I don't know. A lot of people don't know that. But I secured a plea bargain to save his life. And one of those meetings in the jail in Tallahassee, I'm walking out of the jail cell. They gave me free access to him. And he said, the reason you've been my advisor so long and attorney at times is because we're so much alike.
I bet that made you feel good.
No, I think I remember looking in the mirror in this cheap hotel in Tallahassee and saying, why are you doing this? You don't want to be around this kind of evil. I never believed people could be born evil until I met Ted. So my attitude about that changed dramatically.
Okay, wait. Do you think he's haunted you?
I don't think so.
I was ready for a good ghost story right now, and then you just blew it. Thank you.
No, I think you and I have some similarities. That when in 1971 in Washington, D.C., when I was in law school, my girlfriend was in Berkeley going to graduate school, and she was murdered. So I have this I visited him a couple of days. That's after his first escape. Anyway, so I go down to the holding cell in the basement, which is the old-fashioned
After
time
his
with the
first
flat bars.
escape?
Ted's sleeping on the floor, and one of the guards kicks the gate, said, "You got a visitor, Bundy." And then Ted wakes up, looks at me, and he goes, "John."
Thank you, Regina. I appreciate that. Nice words. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Brazy. So where's Sosa? Sleeping under tables. Sleeping under tables.
Did you figure out which one of those guys pushed me out of the window?
After his escape, for those of you that don't know, Bundy escaped out of an upstairs window in the courthouse. I believe it was the law library, wasn't it, John Henry?
Yes. During that meeting with him, or one of those meetings over the few days, I advised him to waive extradition from Utah, where they kill people all the time in death penalty cases, to go to Colorado because I thought the Colorado death penalty statute was probably unconstitutional. So I told him that.
I've been a member since you covered the Kylie Rodney case. I still have questions about that. It's pretty sus. This Idaho case, I have never wavered, but from my gut feeling that BK is guilty as sin.
And Ted asked me, he said, "Well, John, where would I go if I really wanted to?"
Sleeping under the table.
And you know what I said?
Texas or Florida?
Florida or Texas. And then he escapes the second time and goes through a number of states and ends up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which did not have the death penalty at that point. And he's watching the Rose Bowl and sees a little ticker tape on the bottom. Ted Bundy escapes. He's already been gone for a day and a half. But he goes from state to state where there's insanity defenses and no death penalty, and goes to a small college town in Florida. And so Kohlberger goes from Washington State, where there's really no death penalty and there's active insanity defense, to a state where there is no insanity defense, and they have the death penalty.
Well, and hey, don't rush through your stories.
That's what he's talking about, by the way.
What you're telling us are things many people don't know, have never known. So Dale Carson with me, high-profile lawyer out of Jacksonville, former Fed with the FBI, instructor at the FBI Academy, who taught the case of Ted Bundy, and author of Arrest Proof Yourself. You can find him at dalecarsonlaw.com. Dale, what about that? I've never heard that story where John Henry Brown walks in, they wake Bundy up, and he goes, "Hey, who pushed me through that library window?" He escaped.
I mean, the anecdotal stories that emanate out of people like this is pretty incredible, really. And it surprises me some that, these attacks, both the Cuyahoga House and in Idaho, were done basically at the same time, not the same day. Bundy's was done on a Tuesday. And people don't realize that the Bureau and other agencies at that time
set out investigators, police officers who identified everybody in field interrogations that were wandering around Tallahassee during that period of time, from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. And we found that roughly 60% of the people who...
Do I think that he told his dad? It would depend on their I don't know, their situation beforehand. How close was he to his dad? Was it a yes dad? Did they have how deep were their conversations? I have no idea. That's something to definitely think about, though. I can see how it could get into your brain a little bit. I don't think he told him, but hey, I could be absolutely wrong. I'm a little bothered by this humor.
Who were walking around in Tallahassee back in 74 were convicted criminals. So that was something that my takeaway from that all was that people who wander around in the middle of the night, even in a college town,
this is Bundy's
really
lawyer
are
talking,
causing trouble and looking for trouble. And certainly that was Bundy, who went in as an anger excitation rapist and killed 2 girls and injured severely some others. I mean, it's similar to what Kohberger did in terms of his anger excitation, which, of course, we recognize now he was able to slaughter.
Again, if you're just coming in, this is Ted Bundy's old lawyer talking about Brian Kohberger.
5 people. It's horrible.
There were 4 victims in Idaho, not 5.
Yeah. I want to go to Dr. Bethany Marshall and then Bill Warner joining us. Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us, psychoanalyst out of Beverly Hills at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, hearing John Henry Brown speaking about Ted Bundy, it reinforces what we have been told about Bundy, that he could be charming and witty and funny and blend in. So these women meeting him were immediately put at ease.
But this situation was different.
Ease. He was really good at it.
Of course, Nancy. And this is how we learn about sociopaths. It's not from reading out of a textbook or looking at the research or even walking through a jail. It's through hearing stories from people like John, where he has this up close and personal experience, like we're going to have with Kohberger in the upcoming trial. And the clothing aspect is so fascinating to me. I could pick apart all these details, but I'll just pick up on a couple of them. One detail is the clothing. He wanted to dress like John. He wanted to charm and impress John. And I was thinking about a male sociopath who came to my office in Beverly Hills who was about to be indicted for this multi-level marketing scheme where he had taken millions and millions of dollars from people. It was like a cult. People would gather in this huge room and kind of worship him. They would all do this laying on of hands ceremony where the crowd would ripple from the back to the front and, send positive energy and light towards him. And the first thing I noticed when I opened the door to my waiting room in Beverly Hills was his clothing. He had like Gucci pants, Prada sunglasses.
Ted Bundy was electric chair, 1974?
Some kind of fancy shoes. I mean, he was really dressed like he was going to be out.
I was way off on the date. January 24th, 1989. So Ted Bundy was executed via electric chair on January 24th of 1989.
On a photo shoot. And I knew in a second I had this creepy feeling of he's trying to impress me. He's like a chameleon. It's like the clothes make the man. He thinks that if I see all this beautiful clothing, I'm not going to see through to the heart of who he really is. So the clothing aspect doesn't surprise me. The idea of, I think you said 64% of people wandering around in the middle of the night in a college town being criminals of some sort, and the fact that with Kohberger and Bundy, both of these crimes took place in sorority houses, this doesn't surprise me, this parallel, because women between the ages of 18 and 22 or 23, they're young, they're beautiful, they're out and about. They are readily available to the sociopath. The sociopath can walk up, talk to them, charm them, figure out where they live. And typically they have very low levels of security around them. And I could go on, but these girls are like sitting ducks. And I think this is one of the most prominent similarities I see is in the victim selection and the profiling of the women that these two men murdered.
Guys, we explore all of this in Parallels of Evil, which is running right now on Fox Nation. It was a Herculean effort. We all went to Idaho in the snow, in the cold, retraced Kohberger's steps, visited the crime scene. Take a listen to Parallels of Evil, the Bundy and Idaho killing.
Standing right here, I can see straight in the sliding glass doors, and I can see inside, and it's not even illuminated right now. This makes it very clear to me how easy it was to get to that downstairs sliding glass door. We've been asked many times, how close is this to campus? Well, there's a Sigma Chi house right there. I can see in their windows. Right behind that is a hill that we have been seeing people walking back and forth to classes. The campus water tower is right there. And all along this street in front of 1122 King, all day long and into the night, students with their backpacks have been going back and forth to classes and to campus. So this is a vantage point with a bird's eye view. I wonder if by the time this goes to a jury, if the jury is going to be brought here, if they're going to stand here just like I'm standing here, just like where I think Brian Kohberger stood here at night in the cover of darkness, looking in at the girls. It's the bird's eye view into their bedrooms.
Everything we could think of to explore and investigate this case, to Kohberger's apartment, to his neighbors, to his school, everywhere we could think of that Kohberger was, we went. Listen to this. We are off the pavement now. We're on a dirt top road, seemingly in the middle of nothing, following Kohberger's route from the so-called murder house back to his apartment in Pullman. And as you can see, there is nothing, no lights, no homes, no businesses as far as the eye can see. I just got out of this SUV and looked around. That knife could be anywhere. If you don't want to run into anybody, this is the place to be. It is pitch dark out there. You can't see a thing past 40 feet in front of your car, and there are a million places to hide a knife. You don't just fall onto this back road right here. You got to know where you're going. Between two snowdrifts on either side, you got to know where you're going. To Bill Warner joining me, private investigator, you can find him at WBIPI.com. Bill, thank you for being with us. Bill, have you ever encountered a client, a defendant, a suspect who just oozed evil?
Oh, of course not. But what I find most interesting, though, is what John mentioned about Bundy. During the trial in Tallahassee, Bundy never really would admit to his guilt. Even when he was offered a plea deal for 75 years in prison, he passed on it and went ahead with the trial, and of course was found guilty and went to old Sparky. But I'm seeing sort of a parallel with BK already.
I'm not. Hold up 1 second.
We're starting off this hour in the state of Idaho, where a very big case is happening. Accused killer Brian Kohberger is due in court today.
Mayo ketchup
Last week,
ranch.
Kohberger was indicted
He
by a
said mayo ketchup. You could indict a ham sandwich. That's what they say, right? You can indict a ham sandwich. It's your business. The scariest female felon I've seen in a long time. They've already filed for bankruptcy. We need to get those likes up, Rev Gang family. Smash that like button. All right. I need to go work on these docu-series. It is 1. I've been live for 3 hours. It's time for me to work on these docu-series. I want to release them soon. So I'll see you guys in Discord, everybody in Discord. Thank you, everybody who joined. Show love to the channel today. I appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Or maybe tonight. I don't know. You never know. I love you guys.